Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live, the show that brings you live online poker 7 nights a week. If you haven't joined us before, welcome. Tonight we'll be learning how to play No Limit Texas Hold'em. We'll be looking into the structure of the game and how the game is played. And for those of you who've been playing a little longer, we'll be looking into the analysis of the game as well and how to improve on your technique. Now, how do we do that? We watch live poker games as they're being played on the internet. Now, don't worry, there is a 5-minute delay, so our players can't watch the TV and see what their other opponents are holding, because that would be cheating. But to help us along this evening, we do have one of our resident poker experts. Tonight, that's Caspar Berry. Good evening, Caspar.
Hi, Michelle.
Now, also, very exciting, you may notice, but tonight there's not just the two of us. We do have a family of 3 tonight. Now, he is one of the most feared poker players in the UK and a former World Series of Poker winner. Yes, Caspar and I have been fishing and we've caught ourselves a big one. It's the Devilfish. Good evening, Dave.
Hey.
Better known as Dave Elliott.
Yeah, well, probably better known as Devilfish, actually.
But probably better known as Devilfish.
My mother calls me Devilfish.
Okay, now Caspar, you've been playing poker for many years now.
Yeah.
So
Why? Where are we going with this?
Where are we going with this, he's asking. Tonight we're going to be watching cash games, tournaments, and we're going to be watching multi-table tournaments as well.
Yeah.
Now this is Caspar's part of the show. You're going to be commentating on what we see here tonight.
Well, I've got to be honest.
But you have some help tonight.
Well, we have a legend in the studio. I'm going to warn everyone now. You know, like Jonathan Ross sometimes goes really fawny over his guests and just like can't stop slabbering because he's genuinely really like flabbergasted to be in their presence. I genuinely think Dave is a legend and I want to thank you for coming on the show, mate. So we're going to benefit from Dave's commentary and hopefully what I'm going to be doing is asking some of the questions that you guys might want to ask him. But as ever, text and emails. Yes,
we do. Tonight, as usual, we have many ways that you can contact us. The first way is by text. The text number, here it comes on your screen, is 62211. Now, if you have any comments or questions about the game of poker, you can send them in. But also, for the first hour, we do have the Devilfish here with us. If you have any particular questions you'd like to ask, you need to get them into us as soon as possible. That's poker. It's pokernightlive.co.uk on the email. And why don't you have your say as well on 0906 200 70 80. Okay, now, first of all, I've got a couple of questions for you, Dave, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Is it true your favourite game is Pot Limit 4-card Omaha High?
Yeah, that's my favourite cash game, yeah.
Your favourite cash game?
Yeah.
And what do you prefer between cash games and tournaments?
And if you'd have asked me a few years ago, I would have definitely said cash games. But these days, the money in tournaments is so big that I've got to say tournaments.
Now, I can hear you jangling there. Now, I do know it's because you have a bracelet. Can we have a little look? Is that okay?
Yeah.
There it is. Now, this is. Tell us how you won this.
This is the Tuna Crew event in 2003. It's the main event. I beat Phil Ivey heads up to win it. It's a WPT event.
Wow. Beat Phil Ivey. I think I'm in the great ear of a pretty good poker player. But the one last thing I'm going to ask you before I hand over to Caspar, is it true that you earned your nickname in Vegas when a Chinese player likened the threat you pose as a poisonous fish?
No.
Right. So my
research
sources are great.
Fantastic.
No, actually, I was actually given the name in Birmingham by a Chinese guy called Stevie Young. And I then went over to Vegas. I forgot all about this name he gave me in this cash game. I went over to Vegas like 4 months later. And I took a friend with me who was actually in the game with me, and I ended up heads up against a guy called Men the Master. Well, I call him Men the Monkey, but anyway, he calls himself Men the Master. And someone shouted out, "Go on the Master" to him, and right out the blue, my friend who'd been in the game in Birmingham shouted out, "Go on the effing Devilfish." And the headlines on the flyer the next day was "Devilfish devours the Master." So I went back 3 months later. I won a World Series bracelet. And I put Devilfish on it for a bit of fun, so that was it.
And that's how it come about?
Yeah.
Would you like to know how my poker AKA come about?
What
no, right, okay.
What is it?
It's Night Nurse.
It's Night Nurse. And
I would like to know it.
And it's nothing that interesting, unfortunately. I was working with the Dr. Tom, and the viewers picked it for me.
Oh,
but maybe, you know, when we play some heads up, you know, Night Nurse, Devilfish.
Wow, yeah, sounds good.
Completely for his
Yeah,
mind racing.
right.
Well done. Brilliant.
Well, on that note, obviously I am lying. Caspar, if you wouldn't mind very quickly taking us around the tables, we're going to be watching tonight.
God,
You can come back, I
quick,
promise, but
Okay,
do
okay,
it quickly.
quick, round the tables.
Oh, I'm going to be having to deal with it tonight, aren't
All sorts, Dave. Yeah, right, so $10, sit and go. No, tables don't work. Good. Can we get talking?
They are
There they
coming.
are. Brilliant,
It's
brilliant.
all the excitement tonight with the Devilfish being here.
$10 sit and go. Yeah, we know what that looks like. Table number 2.
Caspar Berry.
What?
I'm going to chastise you in a moment.
Well, we've got, Dave Elliott in the studio. Another sit and go there. It's a $20. Good, excellent. Cash game, 25 cents, 50 cents. Good. The multi-table tournament. Dave, which of those would you like to commentate on them? A multi-table, a $10 sit and go, a $20 sit and go, or a cash game? Which do you think we'll get the most from?
Probably a cash game. I've never actually played in a tournament online, so
Really?
I might not be the best guy to a cash game probably.
Or maybe you're exactly the guy. We'll get Dave's fresh thoughts on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Have we done emails and things, or can we just get on with it?
We've done.
We've done it.
Caspar,
I'm so
ask
excited.
away.
Yeah, okay,
Caspar,
okay.
we know you. Before we go to a game,
Yeah.
you've got some things, haven't you? What do the viewers want to know? You're the best person to be sat there right now.
Dave, what makes the difference between you and other players? What's the difference?
What's the difference? I've got a character.
Do you really think that's what it is?
Well, I mean, no, I mean, I've been very successful in poker, and I like to think that much I don't know about poker. Anyone asks me a question about poker, I can usually give them a pretty good answer. But I mean, there's quite a few people out there who would be capable of the same thing. So what makes the difference would be probably, I'm good in big occasions. I mean, I'm not good in small occasions, unfortunately. So the bigger, the better.
You need a challenge to raise your game.
Yeah, there has to be a bag of money at the end of it.
Okay.
And my brain's gone totally dead.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, it just
on
did.
TV,
That's
don't
amazing.
worry.
Yeah.
That's fine, mate. No, listen.
So I hope you all got all that. And business.
Let's turn it around. What are the biggest mistakes do you think good players make? So not bad players, they play bad. What are the biggest mistakes do you think good players make that make them not great?
A lot of good players can't finish a tournament off, in my opinion. To get down to the last 8, 7 or 6, and something always happens,
Okay.
So I think I'm pretty good at closing the deal, and some players aren't, I mean, a lot of players, especially when you're playing for big money, they're watching the money go up, each place, and it's also the way they play. I think I'm interested in winning, and there is some guys out there who are the same as me. They're only interested in winning. They don't care about the money.
Yeah.
I mean, Ramba Swan is a friend of mine, springs to mind. So but that's a lot of the problem. And when you're playing for hundreds of thousands, and it's maybe it can be like an $500,000 difference between the next 2 places. Obviously can alter the way people play.
Yeah. I mean, you first came to prominence, I would say, during late night poker. Is it true to say you won the first series, Dave? Is that right?
Yeah, I actually managed to win the first 3 tables I ever did of that, which was pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
I never won another one, so it must have been pretty hard. It was good for me. It was good for the TV because I was like the only guy there with a World Series bracelet in a black suit. And obviously if Mrs. Mopper had won it or somebody, it wouldn't have been such riveting TV.
And then they did a Channel 4 documentary about you.
No, they did a BBC One.
BBC One, was it?
BBC One, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did, which
was a fascinating insight, I thought, actually, into the life of a professional poker
player.
player.
It was a pretty shady, dodgy programme.
So there's an amazing scene where you're in that hotel room and you've just lost whatever it is, 15,000 quid. Yeah. And that was the first insight, I think, the layman got into what it was really like being a professional poker player. It's still one of the most honest betrayals, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in them days I was sort of going around, playing what I call playing for wages, where I sort of had to win to survive, So obviously, I mean, 15 grand in today's terms, it will make a lot of difference. Right. But in them days, yeah, it was pretty tough.
We'll get to a game. I just want to ask one question actually, which is, so you talked about there the difference between then and now. How much has your life changed in the last 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed amazingly because poker's just gone unbelievable. If you'd have said to me like 6 or 7 years ago, you know, and I was driving up the motorways to Birmingham, Leeds and Bradford and these places, that would have been like on TV all the time, and you know, and have a lot of money in the bank and stuff, you know, and I would, you know, it's like a celebrity now, and being a poker player, you know. So yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing what TV can do to anything once they get hold of it.
Excellent. Folks, I genuinely think that Dave Elliott is one of the greatest players alive. I rank him up there with Doyle and TJ and Johnny Moss and Stu the Kid Unger. I certainly think he's the best British player. I think he's demonstrated that time and time again. This is your opportunity to ask a question of one of the best players in poker. So get your questions in, send them on the emails, send them on the texts. I think our mission over the next hour should be to read out as many as possible.
Yeah, Dave is only here till 11, remember. So if you do have any questions, you do have to get them in straight away. Now, Dave, what we do here, as you probably know, we do commentate on games and watch games. And Caspar here, being our expert, will give us insight into the games that we're watching.
Well, not tonight. I'm just going to ask Dave.
Not tonight. No, Caspar's just going to ask Dave. But tonight, while you're here, we are going to go to a game as we always do. But we're really going to ask for your input. And I know Caspar is going to be getting your impressions on the games and any help that you may give to our new viewers out there tonight as well.
Okay, no problem.
So where do you fancy starting?
Let's go to sit and go.
Sit and go?
You know, I know Dave hasn't played them on the internet, but it's just a tiddler. I'm sure you'll be able to illuminate.
I actually, when I was sponsored by UB, they asked me to play in a tournament once actually, but I already had a seat in it.
Right.
So I was just sort of playing because people wanted to play with me.
Right.
So I was trying to get rid of the chips as fast as possible because I was going out that night and I couldn't get rid of them. I just kept I kept going in with like ridiculous hands and beating everybody. So.
Excellent, excellent. Let's go to the single table.
Okay, so here we are. This is a single table sit and go tournament. I do believe it's a $20 buy-in. So I'm actually very surprised to hear that you haven't played any.
Sorry, Michelle. I'm sorry to stop you there. We've got a guy here who's just flopped a straight look. Kuchen, we'll call him. How do you play that, Dave? Do you like to play that fast, or do you like to?
Well, you know, I can play it different than some other people. It depends on what sort of character you've got and how people look at you in the poker, you know.
Excellent.
I mean, for instance, I could bet that out and somebody would call me with like just an ace, you know, because they think I've never got anything.
Right.
So I can bet it and get paid.
So I'm on a mission to sort of communicate two things in my time on this show, Dave. Number one is that poker, you cannot tell anyone how to play Jackson first position. It's always contingent upon different circumstances. Yeah. And number two, what you just said there, I think is obviously absolutely key. So back me up on this, is that one of the key things that you need to bear in mind is, what do people think of me? Is that right, would you say? That's
right. I mean, it's tough for people to get a picture on the internet. I mean, like, people get a picture of me because they watch my cards, you know, through the glass when I'm playing on TV. And everybody always assumes I'm running without the ball and never got anything.
Right.
So, you know, it's totally different how I would play a hand to how other people might play, you know.
Right. So, okay, here's the question that I always used to think, and I still do, but you know, 6 years ago when I was watching you play, and of course, you know, you confound a lot of people, because when players learn to play, and particularly a lot of students of the game watching this show, they learn that tight, aggressive style, and they see the Devilfish and Gus Hansen turn over these weird hands, and they go, okay, I can just about get the premise that here they are, they're playing these cards to loosen their opponents up, right? How do you time it? What is the secret of having the goods when the guy calls you?
It's called luck. You've got to hope you don't get called most of the time. I mean, basically, when I play in a tournament nowadays, because it's got tougher, everybody calls me down.
Yeah.
So if I play in a tournament now, I try and get a few chips together first, playing pretty tight.
Okay.
You know?
In the early stages, you play tight?
I play pretty tight, try and get some chips together. And once I get some chips, then I can start playing poker.
Okay.
You know? Because anybody can play with aces and kings and you know, and flop the nut flush or whatever. Mm-hmm. So really, you need some chips, you know, before you can start, you know, altering your game and manoeuvring a little bit.
Okay, so let me just pick up on that point, because I've been advocating the exact opposite in recent shows. I've been saying that actually early doors in a tournament, when it costs very little to see the flop, I'm playing quite loose these days. I'm taking advantage of a lot of implied odds, a lot of dead money, a lot of bad players in almost any tournament these days in the early stages, and I want to give myself a chance to win money from them. Why tight as opposed to that more loose style?
Well, I mean, if you're in a late position with like suited connectors or something like that, obviously I would play them.
Okay.
And you have to play them.
Okay.
I mean, when I'm saying tight, I'm not going to be sort of, you know, re-racing with no hand, you know.
Okay.
You know, doing moves on them in that way. But I mean, I don't mean I'm going to put down like connected cards in late position. I'm always going to try and catch a flop.
Okay.
But you know, the trouble with playing with like middlers, you know, connected 7, 8, 9, 10. These cards they can really get you into trouble. So you've got to be very, very careful, you know, and you've got to know what you're doing to be playing with these cards. And really, I would suggest to people who are just learning to try and stay away from them. You know, stay with big cards.
Okay.
You know, just play, you know, nice and easy playing poker. Because as soon as you start messing around with like 7, 8, you flop an 8, and what you're going to do with it, you know? So the guy raises, you flop a straight draw. Now you're on a draw, you have a 2 to 1 chance straight away. You're getting your money in there against a guy who's got a hand made. Or you got a flush draw, you know, same thing. You're always putting your money in, and the odds are against you. So, so you know, I mean, and also if you've got a bit of a reputation like mine, there's always a chance when I'm playing with these sort of cards, I can get a free card on the turn because people are a bit scared to bet. Or the trap check me because they always think I'm going to bet, you see. So it's a little bit different me playing with them cards than the normal Ponzi, you know.
Yeah, okay, mate.
I blabbed on a bit there, didn't I? Sorry.
No.
That is why you're here. Please do. We've only got you for an hour.
Mate, we'll hang on every word. Okay, I've got so many questions that regularly crop up in this, which I've got to put to you. First of all, small to medium pairs, okay. Raise in early position. Let's say raise in mid position. Would you call a raise on a button with something like pair of 6s, pair of 7s, pair of 8s again because of those implied odds if you hit the trips?
It depends how many people's in the pot. If there's 4 people already called, for instance, it's no good calling with a pair of 6s because you could catch a set of 6s and somebody can catch an higher set and that's you out of the tournament.
Really?
And if it's a big tournament, you know, a 4-day tournament or something, you flop a set, it's tough to get away from. You're going to lose all your chips. So I mean, if your head's up against a razor and you've got a pair of 6s, you know, or 7s, and obviously he's got a lot of chips left than you have, so you're going to get paid if you catch one, then yeah, I'd probably call a raise.
That's amazing, because that flies in the face of a lot of, you know, the traditional theory. There's certainly the theory of poker theory is small pairs play well with a number of players for those implied odds. But you're saying that's when it's bad because you could lose to a bigger set.
Well, it can be bad. I mean, obviously, if you're playing with 4s or 5s or 6s, and I mean, let's put it this way: if the flop comes down and you catch one, yeah, I mean, you're probably only going to get any action. You know, unless you're up against a pair of aces or kings, you're probably going to get out. Who's going to give you action if the flop comes down 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7, or 5, 6, 10, or whatever? You get in action. Now, what's this guy got? Are you getting the action off? Especially if it comes to putting all your chips in. You know, I mean, if you're only going to win a small pot, there's no point being in there anyway, right? And if you're going to have to put all your chips in a big pot, and you don't know where you are, I mean, loads of people go out to tournaments flopping a set over set. You know, some guy flops a bigger set. You know, it's the old story. You know, you're walking out on your 2-brick, and there's somebody stood there in the centre, flopped a set of 6s, and he flopped a set of 9s. You know. So it depends on the situation. If I'm in a tournament, and I don't really care whether I bust out early, I'll play with it with a set of 6s, a pair of 6s, and if I flop one, I'll go all the way with it, and I'll go out the tournament. But in like the World Series in a main event, for instance, and there's maybe 4 people called. You know, I don't really know if I want to catch a 6. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So you know, you've got to be very careful what you do play with. And I mean, no limit, all limit. It's like crossing a field full of landmines, you know. And you can actually you can thin down the chances of getting knocked out by the way you play. And I think if you try and stay away from small pairs in multi-way pots, and you try and stay away from, if you're not a very good player, stay away from the middling connectors and that, you know, until you get a lot of chips together. You know, it's not a bad strategy. So
what I'm inferring from what you're saying, Dave, is that you're very much a survivalist when it comes to tournaments. You adhere to the Phil Helmer thing. I didn't win 9 bracelets by sticking my money in on a 50-50 shot. You would rather wait till you've got that time to survive. You would rather avoid any marginal situations and play for the big ones. Because the alternative theory on tournaments, isn't it, is that there's a long run of tournaments, and that if you just play when you've always got a positive expectation, as if you're in a cash game, in the long run you'll win out. It strikes me you're saying preserve those chips for times when you've got the big edge.
Well, you know, I mean, what I'm saying is, I mean, if you've got more, I mean, if I've got a lot of chips on the table, I mean, if we start off with 10,000 in chips, everybody. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to try and play careful. You know, but if I've got like once I double up and I get 20,000, then nobody can now take me out of the tournament. You know, I'll gamble a lot more, and obviously as my chips get bigger, I'll gamble more and more. You know, and that's for 50-50 shots. I mean, I can't remember the last one I won actually. If anybody watched me in Barcelona in the heads up, I actually had 5 of these. I had 5 times I had an even money chance. In fact, the last 3 times, I had 7s twice against these others, and then I had Ace King against these 2 7s. I lost all 3 of them. So, I don't like 50-50 shots.
My understanding is Jolly Chan, when he won the second of his two World Series bracelets, won 17 straight 50-50 shots.
Well, that sounds like Johnny. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Let's get back to the game. What about the perennial favourite? We get a lot of emails in about people griping about them. I say, you know, they're a good hand. You sit there waiting all night, but stop moaning about it. Queens, your basic queens. Dave, what are your feelings on a pair of queens?
A pair of queens, obviously it depends on, I mean, I'll always raise with a pair of queens, you know, you don't want multi-way action with a pair of queens, and if you get a re-raise, you have to know your players. This is why when you sit in a game, you have to study them. You know, you have to watch the players and see how they play, and see if they're tight, see if they lose, see if they're an idiot, you know, basically, and because two queens, you can throw two queens away, you know what I mean? I mean, if the guy... If a guy gets busy with you, if a guy gets busy with you, you know, if he's raising you all the time, and then you find two queens, it's different, you know. But if he's a pretty tight player and you raise and he re-raises, what's he got? I mean, if he's got aces, kings, or ace king, you know, you don't want to be getting your money in any of these situations, really. I mean, I don't want to get my money against ace king with two queens, but it depends. I mean, everything that I'm saying to you all depends on the situation.
I understand. Yeah.
And like when I sit down in a poker game, it's like when you sit down in your car, you know. I mean, everything's sort of automatic. I mean, I do stuff, you know, because I've been doing it so long now, and I, you know, I base my play on who I'm playing against, really. So it's very hard to answer these questions.
No, I understand, mate. I completely understand that.
Because people out there watching me now are saying, I've never seen the Devilfish throw a pair of queens away.
Yeah.
So you know, it's difficult.
Let's have a look at these jacks. His problem hands, see how this guy plays it. He's decided to push all in there. You're not really an advocate of that to win the blinds 80-160, David? Is that?
How much did he have?
He's got 1,160 in front of him with the jacks, and Smoking Piper had 1,460. Would you have pushed in there from the small blind?
No, not with all them people in front. He was in an early position, right?
He was in the small blind, yeah.
Oh, he was on the small blind?
Yeah, just to take the big blind out.
No, I mean, you want a bit of action, jacks against the big blind. You know, it's a good hand heads up. It's not a good hand multi-way.
Do you think that's a common mistake that players make? Is that they're too terrified of the thought of losing that they use this all in as a kind of way of making decisions?
Yeah, they don't want to make decisions on the flop. You know, simple as that. You know, they're frightened to death to get outplayed.
Yeah.
Can I ask, actually, Dave? You said earlier that you don't play any internet games. Is this true? You're completely a live player?
No, I play cash games on my own site, devilfishpoker.com, but I just thought I'd get that one in again. and anyone who comes on there can chat to me too. But I mean, I like playing. I've actually won about 75,000 on my site in the last 3 months.
What, from your customers, then?
Well, no, I mean, there's 24,000 on there. I mean, but.
What do you advocate? I mean, a lot of the questions we get from our viewers is, I play on the internet, because obviously a lot of people aren't able to find a live game, or they aren't able to get to a live game. And for the guys and girls at home, so many of them ask us, how do I make the transition from internet play to live play? Now, I'm assuming for you, it was the other way around. You started off with live play.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I first started playing poker, I mean, it was horses and carriages, you know, I mean, we didn't have any internet. Nobody even wrote a book.
Put your keys and your wife in at the end of the evening.
I once lost my friend's car, actually, in a poker game. The guy had one card to catch out of 12 and decided he would bet the car if I wanted to, and of course it came over for him. Must have been a crooked game. Anyway, I lost my friend's car, but yeah, when I first started playing, I mean, there was no books, none in Hull anyway. And there might have been some down the other end of it. The stagecoach came through, we used to get the odd paper. And anyway, really, I mean, it was just trial and error. You know, I used to go out there and nobody used to tell you anything. They would never give you any advice on cards. I can never remember anybody ever said to me, Dave, don't do that, because, you know, if you do, because they wanted your money, you know. I mean, why would they tell you? And it took me quite a few years to turn it around on them and get so that they didn't want me to play in the games. Which I was sick at the time. I was really annoyed, you know, that I couldn't get a game of poker anywhere in my local area, but it worked for me because I had to go in like bigger circles till I finally hit London and then went across to Vegas, and obviously you know the rest, so they did me a favour.
Well, I do have a question actually for you from Lee, who's AKA Zanubis. Hello Lee, thank you for your question. There is a lot of questions coming in for the Devilfish. Obviously we can't spend the whole hour asking all the questions, but we will try to get through as many as possible.
We're going to answer all the female ones.
Oh, I've heard about you already, Dave.
I hope not. Everybody says a bit about me. I'm quite innocent.
Well, this is from Lee. He says, hi guys, he'd first of all like to say well done, Dave, for your award this year for the Poker Personality of the Year.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
He says, you sparked my interest in poker many years ago when I first started watching late night poker, though I have only taken up the art 6 months ago. I try to play a tight, aggressive game, mostly single table tournaments. I can accumulate chips and hold my own with most people, but one thing I find hard is to keep them in the later stages and find myself losing a lot of them to the blinds and to people raising into me. I do vary my style, but do you think I should become more aggressive in the later stages to prevent this? Do you have any suggestion on how I can make better bets in these stages?
Well, he's actually answering his own question, because he's obviously he's playing good, he's getting chips together, and then as he gets short-handed and the blinds are going up, I mean, you don't find cards. You know, and we got to remember, when the way to look at it is any two cards can win. You know, 7 deuce can beat 2 aces. You know, I mean, it happens all the time. Well, not all the time, but you see my point. 2 random cards beat aces all the time. I mean, never be frightened to put your money in with any 2 cards. It gets to a point where, I don't know at which point exactly, it depends on the situation, but probably if you get about 5 times the big blind, you know, don't even bother looking. I mean, pretend to look. And well, when you're playing online, you don't even have to pretend to look. Right? You have to look. But just stick it in there. Don't be scared with any 2 cards. And I mean, especially, you know, obviously, if you're on the button, it's better in a free-handed game, you know. But when you're on the big blind, if you find any 2 reasonable cards and the button's raised you, put it in and gamble with them. Never be frightened to gamble.
Do you pick on a particular player, Dave? Do you identify the big blinds who will give up their big blind and really pound them?
Well, yeah. I mean, you always have to. You know, I put them into certain categories in my DVD, and like the ones to stay away from is like what I call like the monkey, you know, because this guy, you know, he'll never give a blind up. You know what I mean? And you know, he wants to. He's all out just to knock the devilfish out the tournament. You know what I mean? And stay away from them guys. If they won't give the blinds up, you know, if they're going to battle with you all the way along, just just to prove a point, try to stay away from them. You know, and try and take it off the passive players. You know, the lambs. You know, yeah, I think so. You got to, you know, watch the table and see how they're all playing and pick on the right people.
Saying that, Liam actually says, has the devilfish got any advice on spotting tells?
Yeah, I have actually. I mean, people put too much stock in tells, and I've just spilt that coffee all over my jeans, Leo, thanks to you.
I would clean it up for you, but not
Something
right
to tell
now.
the grandkids, Liam, though, you know.
Yeah, anyway, I just burnt my balls on TV. Am I allowed to say that?
I think so.
Probably
It's
not,
past 10.
actually.
No, well, I won't say that.
Repeated in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, excuse that then. Anyway, right, you always knew I was going to say something, right? So, yeah, actually, people put too much stock in tells, you know. They say, well, if the guy leans to the... It's like I know Bob Hope film. Remember the Bob Hope film? The sun's in the east, so look to the west. It goes, you know what I mean? I mean, the best way, the best tell you can get on any situation, in my opinion, is watch 2 guys when they're betting at each other, and hope that you're going to see the cards turned over at the end of the coup, because then you can see which guy had the hand and how he acted, and which guy never had the hand and how he acted. Yeah, and then next time you're in a pot, you know, you can use that to your advantage. But actually, you know, watching a guy, you know, scratch his backside or his ear or whatever. I mean, I don't put too much stock in that, you know.
Can I pick you up on that, though? So what you're talking about there is a specific tell about whether someone's got the hand or not. But the flip side of that is your first answer to my question, what makes a difference? You said you've got a personality. I've seen you, I've watched you play, and you do dominate a table. You have a presence at a table, and the things that you say and your body language has an awful lot of bearing. I think body language is less relevant in terms of, you know, is he bluffing or not, and much more relevant in terms of can you make your presence felt at the table. Would you agree with that, Dave? And that is one of the secrets of your success.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've managed to build up this like you know, very aggressive image, which is probably because I'm very aggressive. And yeah, I mean, and if people want to like pick on me, I'm going to go to war with them, you know.
And do you do it verbally sometimes? If you're in America particularly, I know it's frowned on in England, but do you, I mean, Amarillo Slim made an entire career out of the verbal chat. What's your feeling on that?
I don't know, but I won't let Amarillo Slim. I've cancelled his babysitting job. I don't know if you read the books. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you know, to me, I give people verbal.
Yeah.
But I'm not nasty to anyone unless they're nasty. I mean, like, I was playing in Monte Carlo and I had Mike the Mouth there, Mike Madders, so they call him Mike the Mouth, and after like 30 minutes sat next to me, he was saying, Devil, take it easy on me. Take it easy. And Phil Elmuth was laughing at him. He was saying, if you live in a greenhouse, don't throw stones at me. But yeah, I mean, I give people verbal, and I try and scare them. Yeah.
And what do you think? What's the desired impact of that, Dave? What do you want that to?
I don't know. It's just the way I am, really.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really think.
It's not so much a strategy.
No, it's just the way I am, and it's just quite abrasive sometimes.
Okay.
I do have an email here from Kyle Stanley. Good evening to you, Carl. This is for you, Dave. He says, I remember seeing you in a tournament on Sky against Gus, and you had pocket queens. He had, I think, 7-4 offsuit. He had seen you raise before the flop 3 times in a row, even though you had the goods every time. He hit one of his cards on the flop, and the both of you go all in, and he hit second pair to knock you out. You were annoyed that he had called you all in with such a weak hand. But what is your opinion of Gus and the way he plays? First of all, is the story true?
I think it was 7-5 actually, because I never slept that night. No, I mean, Gus is a great kid, and he's very, very lucky, Gus. I think he spent the first 3 months of his life on his mother's charm bracelet. You know what I mean? He's unbelievable. And I mean, it's just that's poker. I mean, he had an opinion which was wrong, of course, and he got all his money there in bad shape, and he got out of trouble, which is that's how Gus does it. I mean. He's a phenomenon for it. I mean, he's won 3 World Poker Tour events, and I think he's been behind, at some point, with all his chips in every one of them. Which is nice if you can do it. He's a great guy. He's good for poker, Gus.
And quickly as well, before we head back to our game, we've got one from Hugh, who's also Dead Spiders. He says, good evening, guys. Question for Dave. Was there any key learning experience, lesson or epiphany that drove your development from a good player to a great player? Or was the journey always a gradual development by constant improvement?
Yeah, I think you improve. It's like everything, every walk of life, it's all about practice. If you practice, practice makes perfect, is the saying, and it's true. I mean, I've been probably in every single situation in poker that you can possibly be in, and so it's all there to call on when I need it, and I think you can't beat experience. You have to get out there and you have to play.
Lovely, thank you. Well, let me remind everybody, if you do have any questions for Dave, we are going to try and get through them as many as we can. He is with us until 11. We are watching our poker games as well. We will be commentating on them in more depth a bit later, but we do have to make use of the devilfish. I think you can let us off for the evening. Right, well, 62211 is the text, and poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email. So let's head back to the game. Are you all right there? Do you need a wet cloth, Dave, for your tea? Coffee?
Dave, who do you respect in the game at the moment?
Everybody. I respect everybody. I mean, people say, is there anybody who won't like to sit again? I sit with everybody,
Sure.
No, nobody worries me.
Who do you think's really in their prime at the moment? Phil Ivey?
Yeah, Phil Ivey's in his prime. Phil Ivey's got a lot of confidence now because he's winning a lot, and confidence is a big thing in poker. And also, people probably stay away from, if they know you're in form and they know you're lucky, people stay away from you, And Phil Ivey, he's a good player, but he's also everybody has a run of luck in poker. I mean, and Phil's has been going on for quite a while now, and I hope it don't end because he's a nice guy. Right. But he's a very lucky guy at the moment. I mean, I don't know if you watched the Monte Carlo event. I was playing there with it was supposed to be the best lineup in the world, and for the first 2 hours playing poker, I was killing them all. There was just no chance, and then they put the blinds up to ridiculous amounts because they weren't going to finish it for the TV, and then that's when Phil came good because as soon as it came to a crapshoot situation, I'm never going to beat him.
That's a weird thing to say, Dave. Do you honestly believe he's lucky? You're just not going to beat him in that situation?
Well, I mean, he is a very lucky guy, very lucky player, Phil, and he's in form at the moment, and as soon as the blind's got that big, it suits the guy who's in form and who's lucky.
Okay. So, but let me just ask you this: you said of Gus and Phil, they're lucky. Now, I know you've got respect for them as players. I know you're not, taking anything away from them, but do you believe that people are lucky? In other words, let's say someone's been lucky for 3 months. Do you think that means he's going to be lucky for the next 3 months, or?
I've seen guys be lucky for 2 years at poker, and then the wheel falls off, and they always thought it was a great poker player because everything was going their way. Right. And then all of a sudden, they can't win. Is this? Can you see that?
Right. Well, this is The tournament we were watching earlier, the game is on, you can watch it, that's fine, but obviously we are speaking to the Devilfish throughout the night, all the way through to 11 o'clock, so do make sure that you send us your questions, 62211. So Caspar, for you as well, you've been playing obviously for quite a while now, and you must see so many different players play in the limelight. And you said earlier before we come on the show that you really did respect Dave here and how he plays.
Yeah.
So for you as well, do you watch players even now and try and learn things off them, or have you learned everything you already need to know?
Can I say something?
What?
Dave is sitting here in the studio and you're asking me a question.
Yeah, but this is because I know that
I've done 600 hours of this show. I'm going to do 600 more. Let's not ask me a question.
The viewers at home want to know the same thing. The question is, do you look at Dave and learn from him, like people at home obviously do? They obviously watch and they try and maybe even copy certain things that certain players do.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to be sitting next to you because I don't think you can learn from watching Dave play. In fact, I've said many times, I think you and Gus Hansen do people like you and me a great favour because they make the people out there think that you can win with 6-2. And the point is, when Dave and Gus play 6-2, they're doing a very specific thing, which I don't think you can see. I mean, I have sat and watched you in the World Series in Vegas 3 years ago for hours and watching the way that you carry yourself at the table. But I don't think you can learn anything from the cards that Dave turns over, really, because he's doing something different. He's thinking on a different level, and you're also playing with players who are thinking on a different level, aren't you? So you're all working in such a different way that if you try and apply those concepts to the ABC One poker of $100 sit and go, just doesn't work, you know. So I respect Dave, but at the same time, I don't think, unless Dave sort of comes down several levels in his thinking and says, okay, this is what I was doing when I was at your stage, that's great, that's fantastic. I'm sure your DVD's fantastic for that. But no, I don't watch those final tables and go, oh, that's how to play. I mean, there's a cool, you know, we're talking about Gus Hansen. Do you remember the Bad Boys of Poker, where the magician goes all in with a pair of sixes, and Gus calls him with 10-8?
Yeah,
for almost all his
diamonds.
chips.
Yeah.
Now, me and my mate talked about that hand for hours. Why do you think he makes that call, Dave? Because technically, that call is a bad call unless you can put the magician on that small pair, and even then, you're still calling on a 45% shot.
Well, I mean that's the difference between me and Gus. You see, I mean, I would never call all my chips off with like two small random cards. Never. I mean, I'll call a raise with them and try and take the pot off the guy.
Right.
But I would never call all my chips off.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the same thing in Monte Carlo. I mean, he won a miracle pot to keep him in the game, and then straight away murdered them all again with something like a Queen 9.
Right.
And afterwards walked away shaking his head. You know. Sometimes I think Gus has got the, you know, the mentality of an African fruit fly. You know, I mean, he just like totally loses it, but. You know, I mean, to call all your chips off with two cards like that, I don't know why. I mean,
so you can't throw any light on that.
He don't know why he does it himself. He
Really?
walks away shaking his head and says to me, I don't know why I did that."
Is it an instinct thing? Is it a gut level? Does he, on some level, think?
I think Gus is he's very aggressive, and you know, and he's been playing in them big cash games in Vegas for a long time, and you know, and $1 million don't mean that much. You know, I mean, it's well, let's just gamble and see what happens. You know.
Did you ever play with Stewie?
No, I've played on the next table to him, but you know, I mean, for Mike Sexton to say all the good stuff he said about him, you know, he had to be a good player because Mike's a good judge on poker. You know, he's one of them guys. You know, you can have a talk with him, and he always knows what you're talking about. You know, and vice versa. I mean, we have some good talks on poker. But no, I never did. But all I know is that when I die, you know, I'll probably be the best poker player in the world because you always like go up a few notches. Remember that Devilfish? He was a good player.
Do you enjoy the life of a professional poker player, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, my life. I mean, I've just done a cruise around the Caribbean with Ladbrokes, and I go to Monte Carlo next week, and I'll probably go to Vegas for the 5 Diamonds, and so it's a pretty good life. I mean, like, you know, if I quit playing poker and just retired, I mean, what would I do? I mean, would I go around the world and sit on beaches because that's what I do anyway? So, you know, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
What sort of bankroll do you have to have now to play in the games that you're playing?
Well, I mean, you know, nowadays, I mean. Touch wood. I mean, I'm never going to have to worry again about money. I mean, obviously, if I went and sat in $1 million tournament, you know, in $1 million cash game or something, you know, I mean, you could go broke. But the games I'm playing, I mean, and now I'm not chasing money. I'm not interested. I mean, the old days I used to be always chasing. If I lost like, you know, if I lost 10 grand, I'd go get another 10 grand and you know, just carry. Now if I lose, I'll just, you know, I'll go out and party with the boys. I'm not bothered. You know, it's just a big deal. I lost a few quid, so you know, there's another day tomorrow. I try and play tournaments now. I mean, I play online, as I say. I like playing online. I like sitting in front of my fire, with a laptop and just win a few $1,000s and have a chat with and have a bit of fun online, and and have everybody laughing.
Excellent.
What do you think is a good... A lot of our viewers out there are starting in poker. Now, when you started in poker, like you said earlier, you didn't have the things available to you that we have available to us now. So what was what made you move forward? Was it just playing as much as possible, or did you watch people and try and pick up points and ways of playing?
Yeah, I mean, there was when I used to play in the old days, there was a couple of local good players like that. It was all strip deck stud then, by the way, which was the Steve McQueen, the Cincinnati kid. You're good kid, but when I'm around, you'll always be second best. The old Cincinnati kid bit. And it was strip deck stud poker, and that was the only game really. And free card brag. And I played a bit of snap with a guy who stuttered, and I won a few quid off him. But yeah, and I used to watch people and watch how they played, and I had too much gamble in me. And strip deck stud's not a game where a lot of gamble really helps,
Were you a gambler? Did you gamble before playing poker? Were you in casinos and betting shops?
I wasted so much time in betting shops. It's unbelievable. And when I realised what a sorry a lot of people they are now, I'm quite saddened by it. But I mean, I used to spend hours in bookies, and I would bet on 2 raindrops going down the windlet, And I mean, I was a crazy gambler. Was
there a day when the penny dropped for you that you could play poker without gambling? Do you know what I mean? When you could take the best of it? Was there a day when you understood that?
It's only really like the last few years, when I've turned it around on the bookies, by the way. I'm now bad for them all, because I only bet like 3 months of the year on fast ground. I bet handicaps, and I bet each way, and the day I won them bets. And so I've turned it around on the bookies, and poker, it's only been like probably the last few years where I've been really relaxed and comfortable, and not, just not bothered really. I mean, I was always like a pretty crazy gambler, I mean, I used to go around and challenge anybody heads up, 1-to-1. I played Lyle Burnham in 1997 heads up. At the time he was supposed to be the best heads up all-mile player, and I think I took $168,000 off him, and he walked away from the table and quit me. And since then I've played a lot of people. I played a guy on that documentary. Remember Marcus Golser, and I had to give him 20% back of whatever he lost. That's the only way to play me. I mean, I played a lot of guys, but I mean, it was like an ego thing. And a lot of these young guys now, like. Well, I see them all in America without naming names, but they're all playing heads up against this guy and heads up. They're going through the same stuff what I went through. It's an ego thing, really.
Last few minutes, I want to ask Dave some more card-based questions, right? And we know, Dave, you're talking in the abstract, without a whole sort of situation. But what you were saying earlier was fascinating. I think some people will want some answers to some questions. So first of all, Dave, in terms of position, what sort of hands do you play and how in first position? Would you muck ace jack in first position, or would you raise with it? In general, a general table.
In a general table, depending on my chip stack too, and also depending on what the lineup's like. I mean, I'm saying in general, but I'd have to know. Am I going to get called by these 2 lunatics behind me?
Yeah. Okay.
But the good thing with ace jack is if you raise with ace jack and you get called, at least you know what you want to catch on that flop.
Okay.
You want to catch king 10 queen, an ace or a jack high flop, right? And then you want to bet out there and see what happens after that,
Okay.
So raising with ace like ace 6, ace 7 in any position, apart from on the bottom. I mean, what do you want to catch with an ace 6 or an ace 7? It's very hard to catch a flop. I just want to raise with a 10 jack or jack queen or king queen. You can catch a nice flop. You've got a better chance of catching the flop.
Okay.
And if you're playing against lunatics, you've got to catch the flop.
Yeah.
Because they're going to give you action.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a scenario in which you raise before the flop, Dave, and you miss the flop. You're in late position. You're on the button. Maybe it's a steal. Okay. And the big blind calls you, and the big blind checks you on the flop. What's your sort of default position? Do you like to bet out in that situation? Or?
Yeah, I think you've always got to bet out on the flop. If you've raised before the flop and the flop comes down, you've got to bet out on the flop. I mean, if an ace comes and you haven't got one, you've got to bet out and represent the ace and hope you haven't got one.
Okay.
And if it comes any other type of flop, you've got to bet out and hope it puts you on a big pair. You've just got to bet out and hope he gives the pot up to you. And if you get action, then you've got to decide. You've got to have a think about it.
Another situation crops up all the time. A lot of emails about is the old getting done by rag aces, whatever it is. He's got 2 pair. You've got top pair, top kicker. How do you get away from that situation, and particularly in that tournament survival position, Dave? What are the things that you look for to tell you this guy's
got 2 pair?
Yeah.
Well, actually, anybody who watched me on, I played a while ago on a I can't remember what, it was on TV anyway, and I was on the small blind and Steve Davis was on the big blind. Now Steve Davis is a great guy, but he's an absolute rock at poker, you know.
Right.
If he puts a chip in that pot, it's a bit like Barry Hearn, you know, when he parts with his money, you know. I mean, he's trained him, you know. They don't like to let go of it. So I was on the small blind, and this was the only position where I wouldn't raise, because it's well odds on that I'm going to win a nice pot off Steve if I get some action off him, you know, with two kings. I've got two kings. So I just smooth called, and the flop come down somewhere like 10-7 deuce, and he had, or 10-7 free, and he had tens and threes, you know, and that was me out the tournament.
Right.
So
even the best players are going to get shafted by those hidden two pairs.
In that situation, yeah, I mean, it's very difficult when your head's up and you flop top pair, or you've got a big pair and the guy flops two pairs. It's difficult to get away from. But you know, it depends on the player. You know, I mean, Steve Davis at that time, he's a lot better poker player now, but at that time, you know, he hadn't been playing that long, and I didn't know. I thought maybe he had a 10, you know, and he was like doing a move on me with a 10. But now I know him better. You know, I would have put him on two pair, you know, to put his money in there.
Right. And what's your feeling on the small blind, Dave? How do you like to play the small blind? I mean, you're in first position on all the later streets. Are you very wary of it? Are you going to throw things away, or do you like to play aggressively to try and take that big blind if it's passed around to you?
It depends who's on the big blind.
Okay.
I mean, if it's a very aggressive player on the big blind, I like to try and have some sort of hand where I can catch a flop with. You know, I mean, I'm not going to raise him with an ace-3 or something, and he's going to call me, and then I've got to catch an ace, otherwise I'm going to end up with nothing. You know?
Right.
But I might raise him up with a jack-queen, or you know, like I say, a king, somewhere where you can catch the flop a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
Because you're out of position, and if you've got a good aggressive player on the big blind, don't be scared to get a small blind up. It's not a big deal. Don't give it up. I mean, you're not giving a lot up. I mean, and you've got the button next go, raise up next go, and then you've got position on him. You know,
save your money for that situation. And heads up, Dave. We know that we get more aggressive. We know that we have to start playing probably more than 50% of hands in that situation. What else? Coming from the horse's mouth, you know, you're one of the best heads up players on the planet. Give us a couple of tips for those heads-up situations. Is any ace good heads-up as far as you're concerned, or ace-2, ace-3, ace-4, should we be wary of them?
I think that when you're playing heads-up, what I like to do is, I like to build a picture into my opponent's head. I like to make him, you know, I try and build a picture in his head which is totally the opposite to what I'm actually doing. Like, for instance, I've played heads-up, and I'll be on the button, and I'll show him an ace, you know. And then he'll think the devilfish never raised with an ace on the bottom. You know what I mean? So, but next time I'll be raising him with like a 9-7, you know. But he's got it in his head that I never raised it with an ace because I showed him the ace, you know. And I'll always show him, if I've flopped the nuts, or I've got the nuts, or I've got a big hand, a lot of times I'll show him, you know. I'll say, I'm cards here. I want to build it into his head, oh, the devilfish is catching all the cards. He's not really outplaying me. I don't want to get his ego going, because you get somebody's ego going and get him like, oh, well, he's running over me, and now you've got an aggressive opponent on your hands. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep him nice and calm and think, well, he's just catching all the cards here, you know.
That's
never ever show him a bluff, you know. Never show him a bluff. Never get his back up. Try and keep him quiet. And meanwhile, while you're robbing him blind.
So what I'm taking from what Dave's saying is first of all, the thing that we always say, it's all about context, it's all about situation, but I mean, it's a trite phrase, but to sum up everything that you're saying here, Dave, it's all playing the man, not the cards.
That's, I mean, yeah, you have to be able to play the man. That's what I say. I mean, that's why it's very difficult when you give me, you know, what would you do in this situation? Because I mean, everybody who watches me knows I don't throw two queens away. They know I play with 6-7. Then I'll play 7 and 8. Then I'll play with middling pairs. But you know, everything's done in certain situations, and you know, and when you get to be a better poker player, you get so you can adapt to these situations and know what to do. You know.
Can I tell you why I've given you those things, Dave? Because I have to deal with them every night.
Yeah.
Every single night I have to deal with that, and my answers are the same as you've given. Is this all context? I just wanted it to come from a horse's mouth, so that now when I say it, people will stop getting at me and say I'm avoiding the question.
Yeah, you're not avoiding the question. As I say, everything depends. You know, it depends on who's on your left and how aggressive they're playing and how the other players are playing, and if you can do moves on them. And if you can't do moves on them, then you have to sit there and wait till you find some hands. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to change your game. If you can't change, you know, you never play the same. Always change your game, vary your game, especially now, especially for me now. I mean, everybody sees my cards through the glass, so now I have to change my game around.
Well, you know what? We've run out of time.
No!
Yes, we've run out
Dave,
of time.
don't go to your silly party. Come and stay for another
Dave
hour.
has a party to get in. Can I just say, as far as bling is concerned, David Beckham, eat your heart out. It does actually say here, devil fish, and it matches the World Series of Poker bracelet. Now that's just cool.
That's why I was very nice to him earlier on, because I don't want an imprint of devil on my cheek.
Yeah.
Dave, it's been wonderful to have you on here today. I hope that one day you will return and give us some more insight. You do have a DVD, don't you, if anyone would like to learn more from you?
Yeah, as I said, they log on devilfishpoker.com and it says shop, and they just press on there, and then they can order it. I'm giving the DVDs away with a chipset. Anyone buys a chipset. So I mean, if you've got a few friends, put £10 in each and send for a chipset, you get a free DVD, and you'll love the DVD, I promise you. I don't care whether you buy a chipset or not.
He doesn't care. Well,
get the DVD.
A big, huge thank you for Dave Elliott for coming onto the show. It's Devilfish, everybody. We're heading to a phone call now that we took earlier, and then a break. Caspar and I will be back, but for now, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm very pleased to introduce Michael Caselli on the phone from Bluff, Europe. Hello, Michael, are you there?
Here I am. Hello. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for putting me on the air.
That's fine. Thank you very much for being with us. Now, Michael Caselli, you're from Bluff, Europe, and we would actually like to ask you to let our viewers know what that is and how you are involved with that.
Sure. Well, some of the viewers will undoubtedly know Bluff Magazine. Bluff Magazine is actually America's biggest poker magazine.
Okay.
It's 250,000 copies. It's been going for 2 years now, and we were quite lucky that we formed the magazine straight after the poker boom really went into full swing in America.
Mm-hmm.
And we separated ourselves a bit by, instead of focusing on strategy, which most of our competitors were doing at the time, we decided it would be better to focus on the lifestyle of poker. So while we do incorporate strategy, we take the pros, and instead of necessarily asking them what to do in various hand situations,
mm-hmm.
we ask them about their life.
So you're not necessarily teaching people how to play the game, you're letting people know what you can get up to while you're playing the game.
That's right. With Bluff, I'm the editor of Bluff, and I made an editorial decision right in the beginning that if you wanted to learn poker, you're much better off with a book, or you're much better off with a DVD where there's continuity in the lesson from beginning to end.
And your magazine is completely available all throughout Europe at the moment?
That's right. Well, we've taken Bluff and we've launched it here in the UK. We had a pilot launch about 6 months ago, mm-hmm. where we took various copies of the US magazine and put them in certain card rooms, select card rooms throughout the UK, about 1,000 of them a month. And that led us to the understanding that people did like the magazine and they liked the content. I've been here in Europe and in London for the last 10 years, so I think I've probably got a good feel. Our entire editorial team is here. So we thought, okay, we could take this magazine, we could Europeanize it, and
mm-hmm.
we could really make something great that we could get throughout mainly the UK and Scandinavia, and then feed through the rest of Europe as poker becomes more popular in different countries.
And who's your market, Michael? Who are you aiming at? Are you aiming at people that play poker or people that are looking to playing poker?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily people who haven't made the decision yet. We're not going to convert anyone that doesn't know about poker into poker players. That's what TV is for, and that's what you guys do best. But for us, we're taking people that have an interest in poker, mm-hmm. and we're helping them develop that interest. And if someone is not necessarily a professional poker player, but someone who plays avidly and really enjoys the game, has a huge interest in the game and in its players, I think that's where we fit in. So we probably slot in somewhere between, hey, I think poker's a really great game and I'd like to learn more, to the top of the extreme, where people are playing regularly, but they haven't yet made that decision to go over and become a pro. Now, the pros read it because it's interesting lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Everyone else reads it because it actually makes poker a lot more fun.
So you are aiming at to let people understand that there's a lot more to poker than just the cards.
Absolutely. I mean, most other sports have sports heroes, and poker's just starting to develop that. And we're getting these athletes, the pro poker players who are at the pinnacle of the game. And we're interviewing them, we're talking to them, we're talking about their lifestyle. And they do have celebrity status. I was at the World Series last year, and I saw a woman rush through the crowd just to touch Greg Raymer. I mean, she knocked everyone aside. It was hilarious. I almost got killed.
Well, that certainly sounds like fun. Maybe one day that will happen to our very own Poker Night Live presenters in the studio, Caspar.
Probably will. Watch out, Caspar.
Well, Michael, you are the editor of the magazine. I hope that it's going to be a huge hit here in the UK. It's already a hit in America, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
So we are going to be talking to you throughout the night about some other bits and bobs that you've got going on at the moment. But for now, is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers about the magazine in particular?
Oh, well, you're going to be able to get it for free in card rooms across the United Kingdom and across Europe, really. But if you do want to order Bluff Europe, at the moment you can go to the Bluff US website, send us an email, and ask for your first copy of Bluff Europe. The Bluff Europe unique website will be up during March.
Okay, well, we're going to be doing that website again a bit later on. For now, Michael, thank you very much for being with us, and we will catch up with you again a bit later on.
Thanks so much.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Good evening, welcome back to Poker Night Live. Now, we had the Devilfish with us earlier. Guess what? He's still here. Yay! Okay, but it's only for about 15 minutes because his car hasn't arrived yet. So it's good to have you still with us, Devilfish. You've just given me some poker tips in the break. I'm raring to go for my Beat the Presenter segment, Caspar.
I think they actually hijacked my car and they've got it round the corner.
And so we're gonna make the most of you for the next 20 minutes. Before we do, we've got an email here from Oman. Hello, Oman. Good evening to you. He says, "Hi, Poker Night Live. Great show as always. A question for the Devilfish. Hi, Dave. Great plug of your website just now.
But devilfishpoker.com. Oh,
I think that's the one.
Oh,
is that the one?
Yes, thank you.
Is there another one? Or?
No, that's it.
the one.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're done. We got that.
Sorry.
He says, what happened recently when you were in a tourney and the organisers apparently banned you from taking part in future because you plugged your site?
What happened was Fox TV and Full Tilt told me that if I played in the tournament, I would be allowed to wear my logo, devilfishpoker.com, on the interviews.
Plug.
And then when I got there, all the way to Monte Carlo, and bought myself a new tux and booked into the hotel, and I paid my $120,000 entry, they decided they weren't going to let me. And by then it was too late for me to pull out because I had a guy who was actually investing in my site and I had various people watching. So I decided to put devilfishpoker.com on the back of my shirt and take my jacket off and show it to 230 million people live because I figured I'd earned that, right? I actually put .net so it won't get Fox TV into trouble. And they've actually put, the reason they put in the I think it's the Poker Europa that they actually banned me was because they put .com, so I think they're being a little bit naughty there, but they'll have me back because I'm the only guy worth talking to on TV, right?
Yeah, well, we've learnt that tonight, Dave,
Yeah.
and we agree wholeheartedly.
Why don't we should get to a game and have Dave commentate a bit on some live players play?
Do you mind that, Dave?
No, that's cool.
Excellent. Right, off we go then. Through the world of Poker Blue.
Okay, Dave, so we've got a cash game here. It's a 50-cent, $1 no-limit cash game. First off, 50-cent, $1 cash game. What sort of bankroll do you think someone should have in order to play in this game confidently?
50 cent, $1, probably about $1,000, and then they can play with $100, and if they lose it, they can quit, you know, and play again the next night.
Okay. So Geordie there's got a pair of sevens, and obviously he doesn't know he's betting into top pair. Do you think he's being overly aggressive there, Dave?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I didn't see how the action went on the flop, though. That was a problem.
Yeah,
it was a bit late.
Let's watch the whole hand here. Ace 10, are you raising there, Dave?
Yeah, he's only a couple of places behind the button. I would raise with that.
And would that be a 3 or 4 times the big blind raise? Do you have a standard raise?
Yeah, I usually raise 3 times the big blind. If you always raise the same amount, people don't know where they are with you.
Okay, so you keep it standard.
Yeah, and if you re-raise them, unless you have to move all your chips in because you haven't got many left, probably 3 times. Whoever's the first raiser, 3 times whatever he's raised. You know?
Okay,
it's about a standard.
Okay. Do you have any kind of standard bet on the flop as well, Dave? Do you like a pot size bet or less standard bet?
It depends. I mean, sometimes I'll bet a small amount on the flop, and then they think, well, he's got a big hand here, he wants to keep me in. Well, actually, I ain't got anything.
Right.
You know? So it's reverse psychology, really. You know, man, I try and get in the reds and lead them in the wrong direction.
I've always found something similar. If it's checked around on the flop and you're in first position on the turn, that little bet there is very effective, isn't it? Because it looks like you slow played it on the flop, you've checked, and you still want people in.
You know, you still want to catch them.
Yeah. And what about aces, Dave? The old slow playing aces question. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm a big believer in raising with anything, any big pair. But aces, I would raise with them unless somebody raised first, excuse me, and I've got position on them.
Okay.
because then I'm quite happy to obviously to slow play him like I did when I won the late night poker. I knocked Dave Welsh out. I slow played him. He had 2 jacks.
It was a beautiful hand, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a classic situation. If he'd raised, I had position on him, and I slow played him. But it all depends on the situation. It depends on the chip stacks. It depends on how big the tournament is, and you know, everything. Like in all walks of poker, it always depends on the situation.
Yeah, sure.
Like you keep telling everybody.
I think that's became a very famous hand in poker, didn't it, Dave? It was up there with Johnny Chan's slow play with Eric Seidel. It was one of the first sort of key strategic hands that people saw played out, I think, in their living rooms.
Well, actually, no, Eric Seidel is he's a great poker player, very clever guy. And what he did there that day, actually, me and him laugh about it now because, I mean, the bet he made was ridiculous. You know, he knows. I mean, he moved in with a top. Of course he does. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't get called unless he was beat. Right. Simple as that. What's the point of it? I mean, there's never any point betting if you can only get action if you beat. Sure. You know, it's one of the standards. So you check or you check it or you put it. I mean, he could have put a small bet in there, obviously, but to move all in, wow, that was just Johnny Chan. He's so lucky, you know.
Takes some doing, laughing about the hand that robbed you of the World Poker Tour title.
World
Series title.
Well, you know, I mean, Eric Seidel is a very good poker player. You know, he's right up there in the top 5, I think. You know.
Former backgammon player, isn't he?
I don't know about that. I've never. You know,
James Browning, I think, knows him quite well as a backgammon player.
It probably he's a clever guy, but you know, he's a very good poker player. He always knows where he's at. He's fit. You know, if he's in the right situation, he'll put all his chips in there, no problem. So he's got everything.
There are players who've no, he's flopped a set here, Dave. So Ace-5 checks into me. Are you checking here to slow play this, or do you want to play it fast? Bottom set.
I probably would have checked it and give him 1 card. You know, he's now picked up the flush draw and the straight draw, so he's going to get action now. Yeah.
Oh, nasty for the set.
And he's let him make the.
He's made the full house. He's made the flush. Yeah, you know, this is the sort of thing that happens to Gus, actually. Yeah.
So you would have checked on the flop.
I would have checked on the flop.
And he bet out on the turn. You would have called him, or you'd have raised him?
No, I would have raised him on the 10 because now if he's got a 10 in his hand, you know, if he's got a 10 in your hand, well, actually, I would have probably just called him there because if he had a 10 in his hand, he already had the straight made. So, and he's bet out. You know, I mean, he's checked it on the flop like he ain't got anything. Now he's coming betting out on the 10. It depends on the money situation. If he ain't got a lot of money, I'd raise him just in case he had a flush draw and I was trying to get him off it. Okay. But if he had, you know, if he ain't got a lot of money, I would raise him all in there and take a chance, you know, probably.
Okay. Pair of 4s. He's called in early position. He's quite a tight player, Les Beloved. The hands that we've seen, he's put down a couple of aces in late position when he could have raised up. So, do we like that early position call with a small pair, Dave?
Well, calling's better than raising with him. I mean, he can always throw him away if somebody raises. I mean, he's out of position. Yeah, it's not a bad call.
Pre-flop folds. Now, actually, this can bring us on to you, Dave. What type? If we were looking at your pre-flop folds, does it change constantly, or like you said earlier, you were known as a type player?
You probably won't see many pre-flop folds, especially when I play online. I mean, I don't fold a lot of cards. I mean, I like to play poker, you know. But like I say, I mean, in a big tournament, a big buy-in tournament, I like to try and get some chips first. So I'll play reasonably, not tight, but I'll play more selective at the beginning. I can't play tight. I don't even know what that word means, you know. But you know, tight for me.
So So let's just break that strategy down then, Dave. You like to see flops. Do you think that you outplay people on the flop?
Yeah, I think I can play flops better than most people, and I think I can. There was a while ago. People keep going about me and Gus. There was in the situation where he beat me with a 5-7 actually. Twice I put him on the exact hand. I said he had ace king when he did, and I said he had a small pair 6s or 5s. He had 2 6s when I called him. So I mean, I think I can get a good read on people. You know, I'm good at reading people, and if you can read people good, then you can outplay them on the flops because you can put them on hands. You know.
And how do you do that? Are you studying the way that he plays ace king over a period of time?
No,
is it a gut thing?
It was the way it came down. I think I raised and he re-raised, and I called him, and I can't. I mean, to be truthful, I'm guessing a little bit how the situation happened. But it was just at that time I just put him on ace king, you know, and I said it on TV, and I got it right, you know.
There's a time, there's a call that, I don't know, a call, but a move that Phil Hellmuth makes in an episode of Late Night Poker where he's playing, I forget his name, but the mouthy Middle Eastern guy, and he looks at him and he
Koresh,
says,
yeah?
"Koresh, David Koresh," and he looks at him and he says, "Something tells me you've got jacks." He says, "It's just a feeling." He almost implies that it's telepathic. Where do you stand on that? When a great
Did he
player
have
like
jacks?
and he did, yeah.
Yeah.
When a great player like Helmuth puts him on a hand out of the blue like that, it was a pre-flop situation. It wasn't, you know, by the turn built on a pattern of play. What do you think about that, Dave? How much store do you hold by that kind
Well,
of...
you know, I mean, Phil Helmuth is a good reader at Oldham, but also you got to remember that they do polish that glass a lot on late night, you know, and it's like a mirror, so you got to be very careful. But yeah, he's a good reader. But to put somebody on an exact pair, obviously you're guessing a little bit. But you know,
Sure.
I mean, it can depend. Really, you got to build a picture by the way they play the hand. You know, whether they re-raise before the flop, you know, they raise before the flop, how they bet the flop, did they check the turn, you know, and at the end you can put them on a hand, you know. I mean, especially in Omaha, it's easy to put them on a hand in Omaha.
Is it really?
It is in Oldham. It is for me.
I know nothing about Omaha.
No, but in Oldham you can do it too. You know, to a bit of a lesser extent, you can put people on a hand.
And you can certainly put them on. You're certainly putting them on a basket of hands, aren't you? You're putting them on one of sort of 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and obviously if you can put them on a hand, then you can either call them. You can make the right decision to call them, or you can take them off the hand.
Yeah. So we've talked about you want to know when you're sitting playing a hand, you want to know the style, what kind of basic style they have. You know, are they going to be manoeuvrable? You want to know roughly what sort of basket of hands they're going to have, and you want very much to know what they think of you generally and in that specific situation. Yeah, they're 3 of your main criteria.
That's right, because the way they play against you, they might not play against the guy sitting next to you. You know, I mean, if they're scared of you, and all of a sudden they're playing against you, you know, it's easy to put them on a hand, right? You know,
Yeah, sure.
you know, they've got a hand probably. You have to basically, you have to take every single. It's like when you're cooking, you know. All the not that I've ever cooked and all that.
You've heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've just actually found out how to use the microwave, sort of. And anyway, yeah, you got all the ingredients. You know, you got to get them all in there, and you got to mix them all in, and hopefully come up with. You know, with the right product at the end. I mean, you've got to take everything. It's all information, and you got to, you know, I mean, I'll give you a quick, for instance. Here. A friend of mine, Ross Borton from the Endemol, yeah. I was sat talking. I'm talking and I'm eating, but I still watch most things. And then as it was coming around to him, he got a telephone call, yeah. And he walked away before it was actually his turn to act, which is a bit not unlike Ross, but he did do. And he answered his telephone, and he came back, and about 45 minutes later, he was in a coup again, and somebody had bet about 3 away from him, and somebody had raised, and with 2 people to go, his phone went again, and he didn't move. And I says to the guy, I says, Ross has probably he's got top set here, and he did have, you know. I mean, we're just watching everything, you know. The fact that he didn't bother leaving his tele, you know, it was hanging around for this one. So you just got to watch everything, you know, and try and build a pitch up.
And given that your game is based very much on aggression, Dave, one of the key questions that you're asking in your mind is, can I move this guy? Is he a lamb? Yeah. So I guess on the internet it's more difficult because, like we say, tells aren't necessarily important, but reading someone's dominance and submissiveness and their whole posture at a table, I think, is very important. I bet you can tell by looking at someone how long they've been playing to the nearest 6 months very often, yeah, by just how confident they look at a table.
Yeah.
So what do you look for to find those lambs, to find those guys you can move?
Well, I can actually, I like doing moves more on poker players than, well, not, I mean, some internet players, when they actually play live on these tournaments, like the one I just played on today,
Yeah.
you know, they're very easy to play because,
Sure.
you know, they just throw their hands away every time you raise.
Sure.
But some of them are very aggressive, you know, they're also aggressive because they think that's what they have to do, and they're hard to play, you know, I mean, it's hard to play against them. But I actually like to play poker players because a poker player, you know where he's coming from, you know the type of hands he's raising with and betting with, and you know that, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Supposing it came down 10 jack queen of clubs, and I'm in against a good player, and he checks to me. Now there's a lot of hands that I know he ain't got straight away. I know he ain't got an overpair. I know he ain't got an ace queen. Okay. He might have the ace of clubs in his hand, and we're gonna trap check. If you know if you bet at him, he's gonna re-raise you. He might have the ace of clubs, but there's a lot of hands that you know he ain't got because he won't give you a free card to catch a club, to make a flush, or to make a straight, and beat him. So straight away, as soon as he checks, he's letting me know hands he ain't got. You see my point?
I see exactly.
A good player, a bad player might check anything to you, and you still don't know where you are with them. So that's my point. I mean, it's always better to play a poker player.
Okay, excellent. Let's see a bit more game and get some Dave's commentary on it. You all right, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm fine, Caspar, thank you.
So
She keeps grabbing hold of my leg. Is that allowed? I don't know.
Do you know what? I'm going to have to apologise for that. I can't help it, Dave. You know,
Nah, it's okay, baby.
It's all that bling.
I've kept quiet about that now, Dave, for about the last 6 months. So thanks for blowing my one joy in life.
Yeah.
And Caspar actually wears shorts. Dave is actually sitting here in a pair of Speedos, aren't you, Dave?
I am.
Jack's in first position. Lesbo calls. Happy with that?
It calls with 2 jacks. In first position. Well, you know, yeah, it's not such a bad move. I mean, if somebody raises, he can put a re-raise in on him maybe and win some money. Whereas if he raises just straight out, he wouldn't win anything with him. I mean, jacks were a pretty good hand. You know, I mean, you know, they were trouble hand, but they were a pretty good hand.
Yeah.
Now you're worrying because you see a queen and a king.
Now you see a queen on. This is like the worst flop possible for you know. And now if you bet out and you get a raise, you've got to put it in the dustbin.
Would you have bet there? He checked it. I think you should bet.
Yeah, I would have bet.
I
I would have bet exactly right.
Yeah.
You don't know where you are. I mean, if you check it, the guy's going to bet, you know, and take it off you whether he's got it or not. Maybe you know. So
yeah.
You got to find out.
I'm really sorry, gentlemen, but Dave, your carriage has
Oh.
arrived. And we know you have a party to get to. Oh, so we're going to have to lose you now. Are you going to do any John Wayne for us before you go?
I'm going to go and party with my old friend Jimmy White, actually. John Wayne, don't worry, little lady. I'll fix your wagon. That's my next move. You're gone now. I'm never going to get invited.
Mate, will you come back?
I will come back for definite, yeah, about 10 years' time.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, and
Cheers.
by that time
Cheers,
I'll hopefully be
Come on,
well.
let's go. Let's go.
Good. Will you? Will you take it?
Yeah,
I've got to say to myself.
He's quite happy to do it without me. But we do have to say bye. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Dave.
much.
Cheers, buddy.
Take care.
Take care,
Thank you.
And Caspar and I are left here. Now, I will take this opportunity to remind you of all the ways you can get in contact to the show as we wave goodbye to Devilfish over there. 62211 is the text number. There it is.
Was it that bad?
If you do have any questions for the rest of the show or any comments on what you heard from the Devilfish there, we would love to hear them. Your email as well, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And do remember, you can have your say. Leave a message, 0906 200 7080. So there you have it. Wow, what a brilliant, brilliant start to the show. Caspar, I know you thoroughly enjoyed that.
I absolutely adored it. And I think anyone who has any interest in poker will have too.
Oh, excellent.
It's
Oh, it's all
fascinating.
empty in between us, there's space.
It's brilliant.
Right, we're going to head over to our multi-table tournament, so let's head straight there.
No, we're back to the cash game. Oh, it's all happening. "35 players left here at the moment."
On our multi-table tournament.
Is that for the benefit of our Scandinavian viewers?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were bilingual.
I can say one word in every language. I could go on, but I won't.
Can we get the Devilfish back, please? I can't go on. So what have we got? There's Wayne with a pair of kings. Didn't talk to Dave about a pair of kings. Could have talked for another 10 hours to the guy. Talked about aces.
Tragic Trev is the chip leader.
Fantastic,
Apparently.
good. Tragic Chev, he of the theme songs. Not copyrighted.
Oh yes, but what's in the? Are we not doing what's in the hole tonight? I don't think. We'll have to wait. We must have done it yesterday, so we'll have to show that.
I'll be honest with you, as host of the show, you should probably know.
Yes. Well, we will be doing what's in the hole.
What's in the hole?
What's
in the hole?
Don't take it away from Trev.
I'm not taking it away from him. It's not copyright. I can do whatever I want. What did you get from the Devilfish's contribution then, Michelle? What did you?
Well, he's trying to get me to quit, and he's going to take me around the world and teach me how to play poker.
That's not what I meant by contribution. I meant listening to him talking about poker rather than flirting with him off air. What did you learn?
Flirting, Caspar. You were doing more flirting than I was.
I'm not bad on my day.
So what are we watching here, Caspar?
No. What did you learn from Dave?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, actually, do you know what? The problem you have, I personally think, with the difference between pros and beginners is, like Dave said, he can really play. He can really play the flop, and he can because he knows so much. Like you just said, it's easier to play a professional poker player than it is somebody who doesn't know how to play, because they're unpredictable. So it's very difficult to learn from him what you should be doing, because you know you're not experienced enough to be able to pull it off as he does. So you almost think, well, if I try and do that, if I try and come in with tricky hands and play the flop, I'm going to get it all wrong because I don't have the tools to be able to do it, or the knowledge. But little things like, you know, like he was saying there with the jacks, bet it up, and his experience with tournaments, it makes you think, you know, you just need the hours behind you. You need to sit at the poker table and learn these things. And I think the main thing I learned from him was it truly is about, and you've said this many a time, it truly is about the player and not necessarily the two cards that you have in front of you.
You know, he was looking at his cards last. You know, he wanted to know, exactly as we said here on the show, everything about his table and his table image and what do people think of him. And I tell you what, the thing that I thought was absolutely fascinating, what he said that I wrote down, is what he was talking about heads-up play there. I've never heard anyone say that about heads-up play before, that you just want to keep them quiet. I'll tell you what I was very grateful he said, because it's something that I've been saying myself and talked about, you know, after my MTT, is when you show players cards, trying to give the impression of being lucky, you know, and we were talking about, you know, do people really care that you're lucky? Well, they do. They really do. Subconsciously, maybe, but people register it. People think, oh God, the deck's smashing them over the head. I've got no latitude with this guy. Dave wants to give the impression that he's not being aggressive or bullying or beating them up. He's just being lucky. And all that time, slowly, their chips are ebbing away to him. That's a fascinating insight, I think, into the mind of one of the greatest heads-up players alive. Fascinating.
I haven't played much heads-up, other than at the end of tournaments.
Yeah, well, you know, as I said, what's great about online sites now is that you can just go and sit in a heads-up tournament, you know, and if you want to be a good tournament player, you should. I mean, what was he saying at the very beginning of the interview? It was all about what makes a difference between him and other players. Other players aren't focused on winning. Where have we heard that before?
You, Caspar. Should I give you a pat on the back?
All about focus.
Actually, there's a lot of things that that he said that has been said here before on Poker Night Live as well, so it's nice to hear.
Yes, there's also a lot of things he said that haven't been said in a year of Poker Night Live, so fantastic to have him on, even if only for an hour.
Yeah, it's a shame he had to go, but, you know, world of entertainment awaits.
Look at Tragic Trev there, 42,000. Hey? He's not singing now, is he? He's playing poker. That's what he's doing now.
Well, he may be singing while he's playing. You never know. It could be his
Well,
strategy.
you know. Raises it up with his queen, takes it down.
Oh, we did actually have an email from Julian. He said he wanted to thank Dave for all the people online who decided to call themselves Devilfish. And he says he's won many games online thanks to these people. They seem to think they can play like he does in live games. He must be the biggest tell of all of them.
Yeah, no, very true. Well, I said, you know, I think he and Gus Hansen have made a lot of money for all of us by giving the impression to these people that you can play with 6-2 in the first 3 months of your poker career. And, you know, again, what did Dave say there? Keep it steady, play big cards, learn the game from the ground up, don't try and run before you can walk.
I mean, this whole thing about being tight, being loose, we've always advocated tight play when you start, but the more I learn about poker, the more I learn that a lot of the poker professionals play more hands.
I'm not sure that's true.
No?
You know, no, because of, I think what a lot of poker professionals try and do is give something which I've talked about, which is the illusion of action. In other words, they want you to think that they play more hands, so that you'll call them when they play fewer hands. The illusion of action is very important. I mean, I say this now with all due respect to Dave. You know, Dave was talking about he plays a lot of hands. I'm sure he does, but you know, I'm not giving too much away to say that Dave's game is based on the illusion of action. Dave's game is based on you calling him down when he's got the hand. Yeah. Dave plays tighter and more more solidly than he wants to give the impression of doing. You know, whereas TJ, by contrast, TJ Cloutier, his game is based on giving the impression that he never plays with anything less than the nuts, so that when he bets out, when TJ bets out, you know about it. Yeah, he wants you to fold when he bets out because TJ is going to spend a lot of his time bluffing. Yeah, not every hand, but TJ gives the opposite of the illusion of action. TJ gives the illusion of no action. Does that make sense?
How can you give the illusion of no action, though, if you are actually...
It's very difficult, isn't it?
It is, because all they've got is to see actually what he's doing.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that TJ does, is he writes a book that says that, you know, kings aren't a big enough hand to go out of the early stages of a no-limit tournament, of a big no-limit tournament.
Really?
So he's propagated, remember what I said about Image the last time that we were on the show together? He's propagated over the course of many years this image as an incredibly tight player. Is King there for score?
So there's 22 players left in this multi-table tournament. 22 players, sorry, not 22 tables. Do you know what, Caspar? We're going to do What's in the Hole.
What's in the hole? What's in the hole?
Leave it for Trev. Are we ready? This is the What's in the Hole from yesterday. Here we go.
Oh, it is the answer?
No, this is the question. So here we go. You've got to try and work out what Potter's holding. Where's Trev?
What do you mean?
Is he not coming on to sing for us? You're going to have to do it, Cass. Go on.
You do it. You're a much better singer.
It's not true.
Go on.
No.
Sing the Mr. Soft advert.
Oh, right. I'll do that, shall I? Right
What's
away.
in the hole? What's in the hole?
That was great.
All right, you know, I'm not auditioning for Pop Idol, am I?
I've just been told that we're going to be doing Beat the Presenter at 12 and then showing it at 1. I thought I'd got out of it.
Good, excellent.
Poorly 5th last time.
Yeah, and after that, folks, Michelle sent us an email saying, poker's a silly game, it's a silly, silly game, and I never want anything to do with this silly game again, to which I
Actually,
replied...
that's not what I put, and it wasn't after that one. It was after a different game I played at home.
Right.
And I just went completely on tilt, because I really thought I had it in the bag, and I went out on the bubble.
Right.
And I lost my temper, because I don't like to lose.
Really?
And
Really?
And that is when I sent the email saying poker is a stupid game. But, to be fair, you know, that's how I get my question out. I text all you poker professionals, tell you that it's a stupid game, I then feel better, and then I play again, and I'm fine.
I tell you what, if it works for you, then I'm not being silly, then that's great.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. You've got to have a strategy, haven't you?
What's your strategy?
Can't say like on air.
Fair enough. Right, well, if you think you know the answer to that What's in the Hole, sorry we didn't have the theme tune from Trev, but we will get that back. If you think you know the answer, I'm still at a loss on what to say after the Devilfish has left. Do text.
Does he have a bit of effect on you?
No, not in that way, but it was, you know, funny, and it's good to have big poker stars on the show. I know that we have you know, and the others.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to put myself in the same bracket as the Devilfish.
Anyway,
you've got all weak at the knees.
I haven't.
You have.
I just forgot what I was going to say. That's all.
Well, you've never done that in 6 months before.
It doesn't happen often, so enjoy the moment. Yes, if you think you know the answer to that, do get into a 62211. Here we have Beat the Presenter, which is going to be happening. It usually happens at 11, but because the Devilfish was here, it's going to happen at 12. That's 12 a.m. And we'll be showing it at 1.
At 1 a.m.
At 1 a.m. Yeah, so I'm going to have to play in a tournament. I'll try and do better than I did last time. And I have gone second and third as well. So not doing too bad.
No, not at all.
Yes, if you do know the answer to What's in the Hole, text word hole first and then your answer and then your name. We're going to a catch game.
I'll be honest with you, you know, I mean, I tried to get it, but I don't feel, after talking to him, that I'm that closer to finding out what made the difference. Like, why did Dave come from Hull to become one of the best players in the world, and a lot of people don't?
Yeah, but why is anybody good at any particular thing? Do you believe in natural talent, or do you believe it's years of practice and putting everything into it? Or do you believe that some people can grow up and just be naturally better at something than somebody else?
I don't know why I believe anymore.
You're confused. So you're the one that's gone all weak at the knees because we had a poker legend in here.
That's not what I meant.
Why don't you commentate on the game?
I am doing. King 10 suited. He's called. That's free, thank you.
That was lovely, thank you.
Pot of 2, down comes the flop. King's got 4 to the straight. No one else has got anything much. 9, 10, Jack, Queen. Bottom end of a 4-card straight with 3 on board. Bad situation, bad. So Blocks doesn't know it, but well, he's not in the lead now. The old 4-2 is, but so SG doesn't know it, but he's in the lead. Sorry, he's not. I'm sorry. I do apologise. Blocks is still in the lead with his pair of 10s. I'm being a bit monkey mad. Got that word monkey going through my brain now after.
Because of Dr. Tom?
No, because of David Elfish. Talking about Men the Monkey.
Oh, yes. I can't believe my fact was wrong about how he got his name.
I can't believe it. You've never been wrong before.
I'm rarely wrong, Caspar, you know that. Shall we have a look at who we've got playing on the table? We've got Acidus at the top. We've got Daz. We've got Frantic, SG1, 45. We've got Snap It, Gullo, Blocks, and AA Marco. 25-50 cent cash game. So they can come and go as they please. You can sit down with a minimum of $5 and a maximum of $50. You can see that Frantic and Snap It are doing very well, as is Daz, who's up. We don't know what they sat down with, of course, but as it's a maximum of 50, we know that those guys are doing particularly well. Is this something you look at? Because I certainly do. When I'm looking at picking a table to sit down at, I do look at what's in their stack.
Mm-hmm.
But I had actually an argument with my dad about this, because I usually look for people with larger stacks for some reason, because I want to make the most when I hit my hand, because I am a slightly tighter player. Whereas my dad actually looks for the smaller stacks, because he thinks they try and push him when they've got a hand, so if he hits the hand, he can take all their money off them, or push them off if he puts a bigger bet in. I mean, what's your feeling on this? What do you look for when you're sitting down in a cash game?
It's been so long since I've sat in a cash game.
You haven't played for ages, have you? You've been playing tournaments.
And when I do sit in a cash game, it's a limit cash game.
You play limited. I played accident. Actually, this probably tells me something. I sat down by mistake in a pot limit tournament. A fixed limit tournament, is it the same thing?
Fixed limit tournament, no.
Actually, can you explain this to me? Because I didn't really understand what I was playing in. It was fixed limit. And I sat down completely by accident, and I thought it was pot limit, but I looked back and it said fixed limit.
Yeah, a limit tournament. Yeah.
Oh, so you can only...
Well, you can only bet the limit on each street. So on the first street, say it's a 10, say it starts at 10-20, so the blind is 5 and 10, and the bet on the pre-flop and flop is 10, and the bet on the turn on the river is 20.
Right,
so you could bet 20 and then you could raise it to 40 and raise it to 60.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of elimination strategies are based on just that, which is calling, which is, you know, raising it up so that you have to, you're giving your opponents 2 cold bets to call, because it's been bet to 20 and then raised to 40, so the next guy has to call 40. But you know, the whole thing about limit is that it's different. The skills are different. People say, "Oh, you can't raise twice late." No, that's right. So in some ways, that makes it more difficult. You have to extract your edge in other areas, but at the same time, other people can't raise twice late you so much. So you are calling more, but that therefore creates variance, a greater variance in the limit game. So it is a very skillful game. I mean, you know, you find that, broadly speaking, the same players in America and same players in America do well in limit as do well in no limit.
Well, I did come second.
Yeah, that kind of treads on my point a bit.
Probably completely by accident. I must have just got lucky.
Well, we talked about this before, didn't it? Didn't you play very, very loose?
Yeah, I did actually, because I was so annoyed I'd sat in the wrong game. I just wanted to
Constantly raising it up, yeah. And so you bullied a lot of pots.
But saying that, as soon as I suddenly realised I was well ahead, I thought, I started tightening up again.
Snap it there, raising 4 times the big blind with his early position caller in frantic. And I'm fairly sure that I can't remember what I was going to say there.
That's all right.
I'm all starstruck.
He's starstruck. Well, do you know what? It's
do you think I came across a bit like Jonathan Ross?
What you do,
I did. Yeah. Well, you know, it was meeting one of the guys who
has inspired you.
Yeah. You know, I was becoming a poker player when Dave the Devilfish was creating the poker celebrity in this country. Not in America. He wasn't creating the poker celebrity in America in 2000, but Late Night Poker was a seminal program, and he was, you know, he was at the forefront, the vanguard. He won the first series of it. To people who were striking out on their own, it was up there with Anthony Holden's book Big Deal in terms of inspiration to be a professional player. And I happen to think that he's, unlike some players who won Late Night Poker or who had, you know, who were streaking 5 or 6 years ago. By that I don't mean taking their clothes off and running around. I mean hitting the cards and, you know, placing in tournaments. And you do have to, you know, you need a bit of luck to do that, as Dave himself said. Unlike some of those players, he's still up there. He's still doing it. He's still, you know, he still gets the results. And
it's a wonderful lifestyle, isn't it? If you can do it. Actually, funnily enough, it's what the gentleman we were talking to earlier, Michael Casello from Bluff Europe, that seemed to concentrate on poker players' lifestyles. Caselli, what did I say?
Casello.
Oh, Casello. Sorry,
Right.
Caselli. Michael Casello. Sorry, Michael. But yeah, that magazine is concentrating on the lifestyle of poker players. And just talking to Dave, it's a pretty wonderful one, but
Yeah,
very
well,
limited one as well.
Well, hang on a second. Dave has a very specific lifestyle because Dave is backed now. I mean, you know, he said he doesn't have to worry now about tournament entry, right? Well, that's a very different kettle of fish. Mentally, you know, there's almost no downside. Dave is, when I say backed, I mean, you know, he just has a variety of sources of income, and good for him. That's great. That's very different to A, the days that he described before, you know, driving up the motorway to Birmingham, Luton, etc., and B, someone doing what I was doing, which is going out and playing in the Mirage every day with your rent money. Do you know what I mean? And you can talk about a long term all you want. I mean, when we have people emailing in the show and going, I've done long term probability calculations and the long term doesn't seem to be that fair, you know, I know that. I was sitting there saying exactly the same thing, going, you know, screw the long term. I've lost $4,000 this week. You know, it's 40% of my bankroll.
Yeah.
Help.
See, that's a difficult thing when you get started. I mean, my bankroll, where I am with playing, doesn't go up and down enough to warrant me going up. I mean, it goes up, but it doesn't go up by much. And then it might go up a little bit more, but not... I mean, fair enough, I don't play every day.
No, well, you've got to play every day, and I mean this genuinely without it being a dig, you've got to be good.
Yeah, but to get to that stage of being good.
Gulo has full house here, and Blocks is in a world of hurt, but the 2 aces should save him. Let's see how Gulo... Yeah, he's going to bet out half the flop, and Blocks... 2 aces is just too scary for him. Yeah, you get to that stage of being good, Michelle, by just carrying on playing, as Dave said. You know, there's nothing that can beat practice. You just got to keep doing it. He's been playing for 28 years. Do you know what I mean? And when I say playing, he's been playing for 28 years. He hasn't been dabbling around at the weekend. He's been playing that game for 28 years. So, you know, when people email in and go, you know, I've had a bad week this week, or, you know, I don't like Queens much. I mean, forget about it. You know, he's been doing it for 28 years. It's what he's done with his life. It's been his calling, you know. And I'm sure he's had a lot of fun along the way, but he's dedicated the greater part of those 28 years to try and be a better and better and better player. And what do you know, right now, he's one of the best players in the world because he's made that his mission. He's maintained that focus. He's obviously a competitive guy, and he's channeled that competitive streak into playing a game of poker.
Girls can play there with the not very much, unfortunately, so he puts it down to a bet.
Probably disproving her own point.
Yes. Ace Queen here.
That was a joke, folks. That was a joke. Girls are very good players. I like them.
You like girls? Really? Do you know, I really mean that in a
Seriously, do you want war? Is that what you want?
Well,
Because
to be fair, that
we
was
can
always
both play
started
dirty.
already.
Sorry?
War's already been declared between us.
Apparently, this is all in your mind. I think you're a wonderful person. You've
Right.
created this.
Oh, have I?
This really
Nothing to base it on at all.
quite nasty, seedy, personal confrontation. I don't like the call in first position with King Jack, I've got to be honest with you. Small blind makes it up with a pair of threes.
Things like King Jack.
Yeah. It's a terrible hand.
Yeah, but is there any time where you should play it though? Because you get anything right.
Yeah, of course.
Two big cards. When do I play? I mean, generally in early position, I'll put it down, but sometimes I think, is it worth a limp?
I'll limp with it in late position in the early stages in a tournament. I'll raise with it if it's passed to me, even in middle position. Certainly in a tournament and in a tight cash game. I will not call with it from the big blind to a raise, by the way. I made that very clear during my sit and go. It was a mistake that I made. I really shouldn't have done that. I hate calling with King Jack to a big blind to a raise. And in fact, in general, I won't call King Jack to any raise in any situation. If I won't call with it from the big blind, I won't even call. And I won't even call with position because it's just too out kickable. You know, King Queen, Jack Ace, Ace 10. All these hands are just better than King Jack.
Actually, I did have a question for you from something the Devilfish said. And mine's just gone completely blank. Yes, no, that was it. He said, he said that he would rather raise with the. I mean, correct me if I've got this wrong.
Oh, I will.
I'm sure you will. Yes. He says he would rather raise with something like Jack 10 and try and catch a monster hand than like a rag ace or something where you just don't know where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
And but the only question I have with that is when you get something like a Jack 10 in your hand, you think to yourself, I want to raise with it, but it's likely I am going to get a call, and I'm probably going to miss the flop, and it's just going to cost me money. Am I going to make all that money back when I do hit the wonder hand?
Well, what's your point? We're comparing it with a rag ace. I mean, all of that applies with the rag ace. The point about the rag ace is that when you hit, you don't know where you are. Another key thing that came from what Dave was saying and which James Browning talks about constantly is knowing where you are. You've got to know where you are in a hand. Are you first or second? Will he fold to you? Is he manoeuvrable? What does his bet say about him? Know where you are. And with the rag ace, you do not know where you are. Hit an ace, what happens? If you bet and he calls, you have no idea. If you bet, the best thing that can happen is he raises and you fold. Because if you bet and he calls, what do you do then on the turn? If you've got ace 6, he needs ace 7, ace 8, ace 9, ace 10, ace jack, ace king, ace queen, plus any combination of the two pairs beneath that, all the trips, drawing hands. What on earth has he got in that situation? Because there are, 7 hands there that he could have that you are shafted.
Well, take the rag ace out of the equation. When you get these 10 jacks, king queens, are they hands worth raising with? Bear in mind, you're probably going to miss the flop. If you get a call, you're going to have to put it down, you're going to lose money on it.
Well, yes. First of all, James Browning likes the old king queen and the unraised pot, but that's generally if someone's called earlier in late position, he's going to call with king queen and not raise with it. But king queen, jack 10, I love these hands in mid to late position to play for a raise, definitely. On that kind of table, there are tables where I will play such ABC1 poker, and if I see jack 10 loving it if it's suited, calling. Enjoy the implied odds, want to play it multi-way, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to throw away on the flop without thinking about it, right?
Even after you've raised?
Yeah, but every now and again I raise with it, with Jack 10. No, that was a call. That was a call, right? But then I get in late position, it's been passed to me, or there's an early position caller who's quite a weak player, and who I believe I can either move, or I know that if he plays back at me, he's got something, and then I'm raising with my Jack 10, and I take the initiative. That's your point about if it's then checked to me on the flop, I will bet out, okay, because that's precisely the reason I've raised. In other words, I'm playing joined-up poker, okay, and a number of occasions, the great thing about Jack 10 is it's a great hand for draws, so it could be a semi-bluff that I'm making on the flop. If I hit my Jack or 10, then that's great, and I'll just be worried if I hit my Jack or 10 and he raises me. You know, I'm not gonna carry on playing that even if I hit top pair. You know, I'll do exactly the same with Jack 10. Exactly the same with Jack 10 if I hit top pair as if I've got nothing at all. If he checks and I bet and he check raises me, or if he checks and I bet and he calls and then he bets out on the turn, the difference between having top pair and nothing at all is nothing. It's irrelevant. The fact is, both those occasions, he said he's got a better hand than me. Yeah. So the point is, if you don't raise with Jack 10, you are not losing anything as a beginning player. Nothing. Categorically not. But when you start to get more in control of your situation and understanding what players will do in response to your plays, Jack 10 is a lovely hand to have as backup. Yes? Yeah.
And it's wonderful when you do hit your hand.
It's good when you hit your hand. Oh, and if you hit a monster, that's fantastic. Dave said an interesting thing actually off air about 6-7 suited, that if you were watching at the beginning of the show, you'll know that Dave said, you know, you should be wary of those small pairs, because if you hit trips, you can be out-tripped to a bigger set of trips, and then you're in deep doo-doo. But I asked him off air, and we didn't get to it on air, did he feel the same about 6-7 suited and the suited connectors? Would he play them multi-way? And he said, yeah, because they can flop the nuts. It's a very interesting point. Of course, the small pair, very difficult to flop the nuts. Yeah. So, you know, he holds big store in nuts, and particularly in those big, long, slow, multi-$1,000 buy-in tournaments, you know, you can afford to sit and wait for those nut situations. Great. And if you've been playing like Dave, where you've been playing every hand and they haven't got a clue what you have, and he's been betting those flops aggressively, he'll get called when he's got the nuts. Yeah. And that's beautiful.
Okay, well, we're going to show our What's in the Hole feature one more time before 12, and we will reveal the answer. So let's go to that. Here it is. We don't have the soundtrack today, but we will try and get it back.
We should.
What's in the hole? What's in the hole? I can't do it.
No.
Go on, Cass. Got to work out what Potts has got.
Potsa.
If you do know, text in the word hole, then your answer, and then your name. And at the end of the month, we'll be looking at the person with the most consistent correct answers, and there will be a prize. We'll be revealing the answer to this after the short break. Which is all about trying to read your opponent, which is a very important part of the game of poker. There we go. We can see that Ston has top pair. But what do you think? Text the word hole, then your answer to 62211. Okay, well, we do have an email here actually from Ed. He says, hi, just won my second single table tournament, just been playing a week and a half. Well done. I only play $1 sit and goes. During my last game, I got good cards, and the other players started to say I was really lucky in the chat box. I decided to use that to my advantage and raised pre-flop even with poor cards, and nearly all the time people folded to me.
Well, that's exactly what Dave was talking about, and exactly what I was talking about after my sit and go, which is creating this illusion of being lucky. You know, Dave was talking about it when talking about the heads-up situation. It's becoming a more compelling priority, I think, for a poker player. Is people are emotional beings, and they're wary of people who appear to be lucky. Very interesting.
Thank you, Caspar. Actually, just before we head to a break as well, we do have a quick phone message we want to listen to, so if we can play that first.
Can we?
Can we?
Hi guys, Omen here. Just wanted to phone up and say thanks for getting Devilfish on. Very informative, and just keep up the good work. Absolutely brilliant. And Michelle, you're looking a lot better than you did the last time I saw you in the gut shot. Thanks.
I hope you mean because I was drunk and not because I was just looking rough.
I think he means real life is always a letdown, isn't it?
Oh, thanks, Caspar.
No, don't you think, though? I mean, in every case, not just you.
No, not at all. I think you look much better in real life than you do on
Oh,
telly.
you made me feel so guilty now.
Right, we're doing Beat the Presenter after the break, but Cass and I will be back after this.
See you soon.
Okay, well, we are talking tonight with Michael Casello from Bluff Europe. Hello again, Michael.
Hello again.
Hello, well, first of all, thank you very much for being here tonight. We did talk to you earlier about your magazine.
That's right.
And they can go to bluffeurope.com for the magazine.
Yeah, bluffeurope.com will be available in toward the end of March. But right now, you can go to the U.S. Bluff site, which is bluffmagazine.com, and you could send an email, and we could request to be put on the subscription list.
Lovely. Okay. Well, I did actually want to talk to you about something else that you've got going on at the moment, Michael. Now, this is to do with Andy Beal, who is an American billionaire, I do believe.
Yes, that is right. He is a Texas billionaire. He made a fortune in real estate and then in banking. He's also a mathematical genius who invented something called, or discovered, or proved something called Beal's conjecture, which is something far beyond my mathematical ability, but definitely puts him on genius level. Yeah, puts him on genius level. So he's a billionaire and a genius. And to get his kicks in poker, because he's a billionaire, he needs to play the highest stakes in the world.
And he doesn't have to worry about losing so much.
Well, that's why he needs the highest stakes, because it's no fun to play if it doesn't hurt to lose. So he went to some pros, and he said, listen, I need to play a game, but we need to play a game with a limit game, 100, 200,000.
Wow.
We need to bring at least 10 million chips to the table. And we need to play it, you know, at my discretion, when I want to, in heads-up format, because he loves action. He doesn't like to sit around and wait. In fact, he even said during our interview with Andy Beal that he wished that they could have two dealers so he wouldn't have to wait while they shuffled the deck. So he just loves the action. He's an action hound.
So is this something that's actually happened already?
It's happened. It's somewhat happening. It's called. It's bigger than the big game, but we call it the big game as well. It was written about in a book called The Professor, the Banker, and the Suicide King a few years ago.
The Professor, the Banker, and the Suicide King?
That's right. It was written by a guy named Michael Craig. And that happened a few years ago, and Craig reported on it. He was the only person at the table. Craig called us about 3 months ago and said that the game was going to happen again. Beal was back in Vegas. He was going to play against the corporation. Now, the corporation is 15 of the best poker players in the world, all putting in around $1 million.
$1 million?
In order to pool their money together to play heads up, to play select members heads up with Beal.
So we're talking about 15 American millionaires playing for $1 million.
No, 15 American poker pro millionaires.
Poker
pro
millionaires.
So the best poker players in the world. Jen Harmon's part of it. Ted Forrest is part of it. Todd Brunson's part of it. Doyle Brunson's part of it. Phil Ivey's part of it. The biggest names in poker are all part of the corporation.
So the cream of the crop.
They're the cream of the crop, and they're going against this billionaire genius for stakes that are higher than any stakes ever played in poker ever before.
And are we going to be able to see this game?
We have an exclusive, actually, in the April edition of Bluff Europe. It's an exclusive view, as Michael Craig describes it, from the Wynn Las Vegas, Table 3, Seat 7. That's where they played the heads-up match.
And you're going to be covering that in your April edition of Bluff Europe?
Absolutely. We've actually dedicated 20 pages of the April edition. It's a novel. 20 pages of the April edition to cover this, because this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in poker. This is the biggest game that's ever been played, and it's been played by all the pros against probably their most difficult adversary ever.
So this is seriously exciting stuff for anybody that's into poker and that watches poker regularly. This is the game to watch. This is the game to read about.
This is bigger. The money at stake here is bigger than the prize pool at the final table of the series. I mean, this is the biggest game. They're sitting down with 10 million. The series pays out, what, 6-point-something million.
So you don't think they'll let me enter then?
Well, if you bring your own $1 million and you're the best heads-up player in the world, you can do it.
Don't think I'm quite that, Michael. Well, thank you very much for that.
I'm sure watching the show.
That really does sound very exciting, and I'll definitely be getting my April edition to read about what's been going on over there with all the millionaires. Sounds like the place to be.
It is. It's better than Monaco. I'm telling you.
Well, we're going to be heading off again now. Now, I'm going to be talking to you again a bit later, but for now, the website again is? It's
www.bluffmagazine.com, and
yep.
Bluff Europe will be up later in March, where you can subscribe directly to Bluff Europe, and that's www.bluffeurope.com.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for that, Mike, and we'll catch you up again a bit later.
Okay, I look forward to it.
Thanks for that. Bye.
Bye.
Hi folks, welcome back to Poker Night Live. Michelle is playing in a Beat the Presenter tourney, are you not?
Yes, I am. I'm going to try to do better than last time.
How's it going?
No, I've only just started, to be fair, but big hello to everybody. Big hello to everybody.
Fourth would be better than last time though, wouldn't it?
Pardon?
Fourth would be better than last time.
Yeah, well, you know, I wasn't in my mode last time I played, because I come third and second, so I was in the money twice.
And you've won more money. You've won more money than all the rest of us put together, I think. So, you know, don't be down on yourself.
You're going to have bad days on you.
You are going to have bad days.
And can I say thank you, Nash Anubis?
We have an email here from Delboy, who says, "Hi Michelle and Caspar, I know that you always state that poker sites do not cheat, but maybe you could help me with a problem I have. I've played online on one site for the past 3 years. However, on multi-table tournaments, I've found that if a player goes all in and gets called by a player with a lot of chips, the lower chipped player will lose." That's what it says. "I play tight and aggressive, which means that gradually my chips go down, and when I hit a premium hand, I either raise 4 times the big blind or go all in with ace-ace, king-king. Take today, for example, I was all in with king-king and got called with 4-4. This player had 3 times as many chips as me. The flop came ace-2-3, the turn came king, and after a long pregnant pause, a 5 came on the river, so he made it straight. On another tournament today, I raised with ace-jack, the flop came jack something, I went all in, got called by the table chip leader with queen-jack, the turn was rubbish, and after a long pause, I had to type in that it was looking for a queen. The queen arrived. This happens consistently on this site and is often commented on by other players. I've heard of a thing called doom switch on game sites to get rid of low-pointed players. Do you think that this is what is happening so that the tournament can end quicker? And that way the site is saving money. I would value your input. I love the show and record it to watch later and think that I've learnt a lot by it. Keep up the good work." You know what, Delboy? I don't know. I don't know what sites you're playing on. I don't know what their policy is. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know whether that would pass the random deal. What's it called? Corroboration that they have to get from third parties to be a valued internet site. I don't know why you're playing there if that's what you really believe about them. Change sites. There's over 400 out there now on the internet. You don't have to play on this one. That's honestly my bottom line about it. If you ask for my opinion, and thanks very much for your kind comments about the show, if you ask my opinion, it's all in your mind. I'm sorry that's really harsh, but that's my opinion. Because that's what human beings do. They remember the time that the bread lands butter side down, and they don't remember all the times that it lands up. The reason why you're going to remember that more often is because when you lose as the lower chip player, you're out, so you don't have a second chance, so it's final. Whereas when you lose as the higher chip player, it doesn't matter so much, so it doesn't leave an imprint on your brain. I don't want to go into the whole sort of boring ins and outs of this, but you remember things because of or memory is most potent when it's accompanied by emotion. Okay, so if you think about your memories of your life, they come at periods in which you were experiencing some sort of emotional activity. It's very difficult to remember a maths lesson that you had when you were 12, because there were very few emotions that you were having. So, you know, you experience more emotion when you go out of a tournament, and therefore those moments are more memorable. Or they've got a program eliminating the bad players so the tournament can end quicker. I don't know. Anyway, what I do know is that we're going to get to some more live poker. We've got a cash game for you, so let's have a look at what's going on.
Apparently I look better on this side. See, it's the lighting, Cass.
Yeah, you and Nick talk a lot about that. I'll be honest with you, it sounds like you're both grasping at straws.
Do you think?
So, 5-handed pot here in this cash game. Ace Jacks missed it. 9-2's missed it. A pair of 7s always had the pair. So did a pair of 2s. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6, 7.
So what are you watching? You're watching a cash game. 25-50 cents.
Yeah, 25-50 cent cash game. Look at that, 9-2's bet out. He said, oh, no one wants this, I'll take it down. And Snap it's just calling there. I wonder if that was a good call with the king. I mean, he's in early position with his 7s. That's the problem with a small blind there, is what on earth do you do with it? When the flop comes down like that. Perhaps Kevin was going to check raise and no one bet out, which is possible. But anyway, he's won the hand, so that's great.
If you weren't involved with this programme, would you, and you had nothing to do with TV, do you think you'd play on the TV tables? Is there, obviously it's very exciting and you do learn a lot about your play. Or can you not answer that question because you work on the programme?
It's hard to put myself in someone else's position. I would say no, but I have absolutely no idea, to be honest with you.
I mean, I've found since I've been doing This Beat the Presenter, I mean, I've only done it a few times, but I've learned so much about my game. I really have. So I think for a beginner...
Because you see everyone else's cards afterwards.
Yeah, and I also get, you know, yourself or Nick or whoever it is telling me what I've done wrong and what I should be doing.
Okay.
And I can see it in perspective. I can think, you should have done that there, you saw that was happening, and I can remember what I did because it only happened an hour ago.
Mm. Ace Queen, suited, raises it up, 7-8, wondering whether he can do a Mark Bannon. And he wouldn't if he knew that the hand behind him was 6-7, and there was 6-4 in the big blind. Too many of his straight and pairing cards are out. But the Ace Queen has hit it, but with that pre-flop raise, the best bet takes it down. Oh, excuse me, folks. I'm exhausted after
It's
that
been,
interview with Dave.
it has been an exhausting evening,
It
hasn't
has
it,
been
so
a very
far?
exhausting evening. Right, so we are going to look at the reveal of what's in the hole.
Ooh, very
see
exciting.
what Potsa has.
So this has been all the way since 12 a.m. yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Pair of 7s. So let's see that play out. So he's in the small blinds, 100, 200. It's raised up to 600. Me, I throw it away, but Potsa decides to call. I may re-raise if the raise had come from 2 seats later on, but I don't need to play that in first position. So a big old raise. I've got no position. My investment in the pot at that stage was minimal. Okay, he hits his set, which is nice. So there we are, pair of 7s, and the hand was 3 of a kind.
And wow. Would you have got that?
Would I've got a pair of 7s?
Would you have guessed it?
To be honest with you, whenever I looked at it, I was too busy humming the theme tune and messing around to
That's
really
fair enough.
ask myself what he had in any sort of serious manner. So ace 5, raises it up 5 times the big blind for Buzz Lighthead. And A7 suited calls, neither of which move I like, I'm afraid, folks. If we're going to play Ace5 suited in that position, I just want to call if I think it's going to be a multi-way pot and a loose table. And pair of jacks on the button. Nice situation, nice raise. Got to be done. And fours in the big blind now. 5-7 in late position. Frantic just calls, and we've talked about this before. You know, you have to have more things in your armoury than just the late position steal. Personally, as Frantic, I can put this down. There are other things you need to be able to do, but we don't need to do something with that particular hand in that particular situation. So let's look at a bit of pre-flop action, see who's raising it up and who is Peter passive. We see that Tomo is the most aggressive player at the table, but look at this, folks. This is an aggressive table. The most passive player at this table is raising 14% of pre-flop hands. This is an aggressive table. Very aggressive. Cyberman is actually playing 44% of hands. So it's aggressive, it's loose. It's an interesting table, interesting makeup. And you know, we say this many, many times, tables differ. Anyone who's ever worked in theatre to any great extent, amateur or professional, will know that audiences take on different characters. Some audiences will wee themselves laughing at some jokes, where other audiences just sit in stony silence. Some audiences are very, very giggly, some audiences are very quiet.
This is true, and also people come off that audience as well. When you go to the musical theatre, for instance, we went to see We Will Rock You the other day, brilliant. Sometimes you go there, people are all applause, but other times you go there, people are singing and whooping, and you kind of do what the rest of the audience do. So if you get one group that's really loud, you become the same as them, whereas everyone's a bit more subdued and conservative, you become more conservative.
Still just having a little laugh at your David Brent impression there.
What's my David Brent
We saw We Will Rock You, brilliant.
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant. Fact.
I love it.
Little ace-5 there in the small blind. He's hit his ace. It's a raggedy ace. And Frantic, quite a weird bet there from Frantic for me. Why raise at all? If you're going to raise now on the flop with your set, you've got to make it a significant raise. You've got to get money in the pot. So Frantic for me made a couple of bizarre bets in the last few hands, and we've seen Frantic many times here, Michelle, haven't we? He's not new.
No, not at all. He's hit the set. That's nice. Those, you know, small to middle pairs. You know, we talk about this many times, don't we? But it's very difficult to know how to play them, because sometimes you feel like raising up to try and take it before the flop and just be happy with the blinds. Other times you want to limp in to try and hit the set, and if you don't, obviously you've got to put it away. But sometimes it's so tempting if you've limped in and everyone's called, especially if you're in late position, to try and steal the pot because you do have a pair and you've got outs. But obviously there's so much that could be beating you. But as you say, it does depend a lot on your feel for the table and what you think, whether they'll fold to you, for instance. And it's like what you were talking about with Dave Devilfish earlier about if you think they'll fold to you, then you can put in the raise. If you think they'll call you, then let it pass.
Yeah, I mean, it is that. It's everything that Dave was saying. It's you know, it's situationally specific. But look at this, Snowmen are set-tastic at the moment. They've just done it again. That's the third time in the period we've been watching this game. And Ken is just going to smooth call it if it kills him. And that ace will hurt him, unfortunately, because Frantic no longer has top pair. It's a shame for Ken. And he does actually correctly check it. Snap it. Bets out. I think Frantic will probably call. Oh no, he doesn't. Well, that's good. Good fold there from Frantic actually. As I said, that ace saved him quite a lot of money. Frantic, of course, making money despite my my criticism. That's great. That's good to see. I don't want to see players losing money. Although, of course, for a player to make money in this game, someone else has to lose money. But just because a player's making money doesn't mean to say that they are necessarily doing the right thing. It's only not necessarily the right thing in my opinion, but as we always say, folks, it is just my opinion. So take it and pop it in the bin, if that's what you want.
Well, that's what poker's about, actually. I suppose people are able to have... I suppose if there's no definite right and wrong in any particular case, there is, in some situations, you can say there's no way you should have done that. But like you say, if you know something about somebody you're playing against somebody else doesn't know, you may do something, you may think you're doing something right, but someone else thinks you're doing wrong.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is, there are so few situations like that. There are situations in a particular game where you can say, you know, that is moronic in this game. But as we were talking about with Dave, you know, what looks moronic in one game might be absolute genius in another game. You know, if you're sitting down with Phil Ivey and John Juanda, what would be catastrophically stupid in this game, raising with Jack 5 suited, I don't mean that by the way, suddenly becomes genius, you know, and you're moving great players off great hands. Whereas in this game, unless you've got a damn good plan up your sleeve, it's basically a loss-making play. And, oh dear. Frantic psychic knows that he's Raggedy Ace's best, and will Issa put him to the test? Frantic's been watching the show. He's adopting Dave the Devilfish's small bet out. I'm going to watch this show back, you know, tomorrow afternoon. Because
I think I will, actually.
I think Dave said some absolutely just corking things. Some of them quite subtle, actually. But to watch it back, I think will be very important.
Yeah, because you don't, I suppose you don't take everything in to start with, do you?
No.
So he's quite a character there, actually. With his, he was doing James Bond impressions before we come on, and
Yeah,
he did seem like quite a character.
Yeah. You're having a lot of fun. I noticed.
Yeah, it was nice to have somebody in. It's different, isn't it?
You say I'm not enough.
you are plenty, Caspar.
Yeah, I am.
Like, you know, it's nice to
brilliant.
mess it up a bit and,
Mess it up a bit.
you know, have a few
mean
other
mix it
people
up a
in.
bit?
Mix it up a bit. That is actually what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm doing two things at once here. I'm playing poker.
Oh,
I'm
but I thought you
talking
could
to
do that. I thought you were a woman. I thought you could multitask.
I can actually.
Well,
These people are
so-
saying, "Wow, look,
well-
she can talk on the telly and play poker at the same time
Well, yeah, but
and
you
commentate
can't.
on the game."
You can't because you're saying mess it up a bit.
I got one thing wrong. Oh, it's my go. Hang on.
Chew what you bite off. Yeah, it's very important in life. I'm joking, of course. How many times must I tell everyone how fond I am of you?
Someone's
Before-
just
before
sausage
someone
says you're
disagrees.
horrible to me.
Caspar is horrible to you, Michelle. Mate, so would you be if you had to sit here night in, night out.
Women can do, apparently Balrog reckons women can do lots of things simultaneously,
Yeah,
but only one right thing at once.
it's that.
Oi, Balrog.
And Gam241 says, Michelle, tell Casp if he keeps picking on you, I'm going to get him.
Hey, someone says I'm really funny. Sharky thinks I'm funny.
No, Sharky says, Casper is the funniest thing on TV, Michelle is easy prey
Oh,
free.
damn it, I read that wrong. Take that back, Sharky. I am not easy prey. And I am not a man, redactor.
You're not a man?
No, I am not a man.
Who says you're a man?
Redactor.
Not sure he's very good at anatomy, redactor. Unless you're pre-op.
Apparently, redactor is a moose. That's fair enough.
They're very confusing, aren't they?
Well, you know, sorry, what did you say?
Talk about pre-ops, don't worry. Way over the top. Frantic in 6-7. Let's see what he does here. Just a call. 6-5 suited, ace-4 suited. Good. We're calling with our drawing ace there on the button. It's quite an aggressive table. I'm not sure that I would be too hopeful with my call there. Caspar is in love with Michelle. Does he watch the show?
I missed that. I was concentrating.
Cali man. Caspar is in love with Michelle. Fantastic. And Gan says, all the presenters are fantastic, and this is the best thing they could have done, coming and playing with us guys. Oh, that's nice.
Aww.
Golo with his 10s there, bets out, and what might look like the kind of bet that they could take him off it, actually takes it down. Scare them all off. Daz just calling with ace-king. Oh, that's something we never asked Dave about, is it? So ask the guys what they all thought about the devilfish. Have you asked them already?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people there now. So it's
guys, right on the screen, if you're in the game, just pop down your thoughts on the devilfish. What did you think of him? Devilfish was good, says Sausages, with a lot of exclamation marks. Devilfish was good, says Nash Anubis, echoing the phrase. Anything else?
Great
to have devilfish on, says Hoofy.
Devilfish was swimming.
You concentrate on the game. I'll read the comments if you like.
Yes, I should do.
Or you just carry on multitasking, and then you've got something to blame. Top man, says Buzz Lighthead. Bring him back on. Bring him back soon, says Anubis. Yes, well, you know, I think my position on this is perfectly clear. Says, okay, who ran out of script because his car is being late? I know, well, it's... I wish he didn't have to get the car. Someone didn't like his jumper too much. Good. Fantastic thoughts there. Geordie says, his humour cheered me up and got rid of my hangover. Have I ever ordered a devilfish in a restaurant? And Gamini says, Caspar, shave your head again. We need stuff to laugh at, mate. It's not nice, is it?
Devilfish is the best looking guy on TV.
I did look stupid with a shaved head. Trouble when you shave your head is, if you feel it looks stupid, you've got to wait weeks before it stops being stupid. It's terrible. Meanwhile, we've got a new What's in the hole? Very good. Very good. So it's Pakistan angle, quite a staple here in What's in the Hole. Surprised Pakistan angle isn't phoning in and winning the monthly tournament. What's in whose hole? Someone says. Well, it's Pakistan angle's hole, isn't it? No one else's. Snap It as bet out with his 5. Pakistan angle calls. Snap It just with second pair. Proof, if proof were needed, of Snap It's new loose cavalier approach to the game. Not cavalier, Ken, you know what I'm saying. And he checks to him because he says, oh, that hasn't worked. But Pakistan angle checks behind him. And on the river, which comes a third spade. Snap It checks again. And Pakistan angle concedes the initiative. Van Engel, remember, famous for his bets of 1 on previous occasions. So, what's in the hole? Text hole in your answer to 62211. And you could win a smashing prize.
Yeah, we're going to look monthly, aren't we, at the most consistent winners.
We are.
And find something we can give away to them.
Something kicking around the office. Here's a gonk. Should we give that away? Folded around to the button in this cash game environment. He folds the button. I'm happy with that fold. Small blind makes it up. Regular viewers will know I'm not a fan of that. And here's an example of why not. We don't have any kind of read of the big blind. We wouldn't know what he had when the flop comes down. And Daz folds it. So we are going to wander through the matrix, a leisurely stroll if you will, and find one of the big green fellas. The multi-table, the MTT, if you will, the daddy of poker tournaments. I don't know what I'm saying now, just rambling. How are you, Michelle?
I'm not doing too bad.
You're not doing too bad. Flush draw for e-bagger, flush for e-bagger, pot for e-bagger. Good stuff. Pair of 7s, pair of 10s, king 4. Pair of 10s, pushes in. The numbers are so big, our software can not cope with them. And it's Tragic Trev. It's Tragic Trev.
Okay, our tournament's over.
What's in his hole?
The tournament is finitoed.
Tournament has finitoed.
So to see how I did, we'll be showing that at 1 o'clock.
Fantastic. I'll be over here on the edge of my seat.
Oh, you will you? Well, I'll be over here looking in the better light.
Sorry?
I'll be over here in the better light.
Have you and Nick considered that it might just be because you're pale?
I am pale. I haven't been on holiday for a while, and I don't have anyone to go with, actually.
Oh, that's opened the floodgates.
Open the floodgates, because everyone who I was going to go with is now going with their boyfriends.
I'll go with you. Apparently, I'm in love with you.
Yeah, maybe we should go away. Can you pay?
Classic woman.
That's worth a try.
It is. It's not going to work, but it was worth a try. Zulu. Zulu pushes in there. It's called by the jacks. Ugh! Poor old Trevor was chip leader. Trev! We feel for you, mate. That's very, very, very bad luck.
Oh, has he gone out and he was chip leader?
Yeah. I thought you could multitask. You're not even doing one thing well at the moment. Are you recuperating after your tournament?
Yeah, it's hard work.
It's tough, isn't it? Yeah. Ooh. All that
How many have you played?
index finger. What, in my life?
No, beat the presenter.
On screen? 1.
And you won it, didn't
Guess
you?
where I came?
First.
Yeah. 1 for 1. That's, hang on a second, that's a 100% record.
Long term, Caspar.
I think I'm going to play tomorrow. Me and Tom are on tomorrow, and well, absolutely long term, yeah. And I'm sure I'll be in second chair. So let's pit our wits against each other tomorrow. Feeling up for it, chaps. Gamini feels bad about what he said to me now. Well, it's too late now, Gamini. I mean, I pronounce your name correctly, night in, night out here. Who's working for you, mate? And then, you know, offensive about the old Barnet.
Hey, I called him Gamini. I think you should have a Maddox cut.
What's a Maddox cut?
It's like a little kind of punk thing going on over the top.
I would do that.
I think it would look cool.
I would do that, except I have to go and meet businessmen on a daily basis.
That's all right.
What is it like a? Is it like a?
Well, you just shave the
mohawk.
sides and leave a little bit like a mohawk, but a bit shorter.
Yeah, I had a mohawk. When I first started doing the show, I had a mohawk.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it blue?
No, it was blonde. I had it all dyed blonde and down the centre.
Nice.
I've lost a lot of hair since then, though.
Stress. You're going to start receding, you're a guy.
It's this show.
Happens.
It's staying up late. So, King Queen on the button. A place to steal for E-bagger. And you at home if you find yourself in that position. Is it even a steal? Perfectly valid bet in my book.
So are we on our last table yet?
Sorry?
Are we on our last table yet? There's 13 people left. So nearly on our last table.
That's fascinating. I keep thinking about all the different things that Dave said. It was interesting what he was saying about playing tight early doors in tournaments to get a stat going and then starting to play poker, as he put it.
Well, actually, he said about what a lot of our viewers text in about, which is, he said so many people do it, which is getting down to the last 8 or so and just not being able to play and not holding your stack up.
And he said, don't be scared to put your money with any 2 cards, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should temper that with controlled aggression. He was giving a very sort of quick answer to a complicated question.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Poker Night Live is we have gone into more detail than that on occasion. But it was fascinating. It was fascinating. What was fascinating was that the Devilfish didn't want to compromise. He, as I've never wanted to from day one of doing this show, he did not want to get into a situation where he just gave a trite, easy answer to something. And you know me, I hate books that think that you can. That think that you can just go, oh yeah, if you hit a set on the flop, you probably want to raise it up and pop it back to them. And what? When? Who? Who are these people?
Actually, I've got a question for you.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
That's
If you've got a pair, say it's a high pair, and you're in position, and you hit your set on the flop, and it's top set, and but there's two suited cards on the flop. Now, when you've got a sat, and that you're only up against one person, now generally you'd obviously want to check and try and get them to bet at you so you can get more out of them.
Well,
but you are running the risk.
Well, we've said it's a lot more complicated than that, isn't it? There are all sorts of things. Are we a loose? Do we have a loose image? Are we a loose player? Is he a maniac? Is he? You know, there's a lot of things we want to take into account.
Well, generally in my mindset,
I'm
I'm worried about flush because I can see 2 suit cards and I don't want to find myself up against a flush by accident. But I always struggle on how to read whether they're on a flush draw or not because they could have anything.
Right. Well, I'll be honest with you. I think this has been overplayed on this very show, actually. The danger of people having a flush. By all sorts of us, as commentators, I think we need to jointly carry the can for this. I think it's very unlikely when you heads up that someone's got a flush. It's this simple. It becomes more likely that someone's got a flush the more players are at the table. If you had 1,000 players at the table, someone would have the flush draw, wouldn't they? Say that with some certainty. Not complete certainty, but some certainty. If you have one player at the table, it's much less likely that he's got a flush draw. So I'm not going to play that hand heads up and have my entire play dictated to me by the fact that I have to give him incorrect odds to call.
Okay. And it's weird because when I first started playing, if I had a set, I'd be like, even if I was against one player, I'd be like, wow, set, I'm going to slow play it, I'm going to get into bed at me. But now, automatically, I think, oh, it's flash out there, I've got to bet it up. Whatever situation I'm in. And it just seems to be the first, you know, when you're acting on impulse anyway, and you're acting quickly anyway, for some reason, if I see 2 suited cards on the flop, I want to take it down there and then because I'm worried about getting outdone by flush. I know it's because it's happened to me a couple of times. I've tried to slow play a hand, a 2-pair or a set. And it's so odd how you can suddenly let these things become something you do automatically.
Okay, well look, let me give a kind of golden rule now, right, about poker. Do not let your play be dictated by a couple of experiences that you've had that were unpleasant. Okay? I'll say that again.
Say it again.
Do not let your play deviate from optimum strategy.
That's not what you said the first time. Don't confuse us.
Can we punch in a
Live on
relationship?
air.
Is
Yeah,
that-
I've hit you before.
You've done it.
That's fine.
Do not let your play deviate from optimum strategy because of a couple of hurtful, painful experiences that you've had in your life.
It's difficult not to, though, when you're acting quickly.
It's difficult not to because you're a human being, but you must. You must understand that poker is about doing the optimum thing in the long term. You do not know what cards he has. You do not know what he's going to do. You have some information about his cards. You have some information about who he is. But at the end of the day, there are unknowns. And you can only do what is best given all the information available to you. Do not let the fact that the last time you raised with a pair of kings, someone had aces, mean that you never raise with kings again. Got an email here from Rob. He says, hi Caspar and Michelle. Caspar, I was watching a programme the other night about the various forms of cheating in poker. That's interesting. In particular, one where 5 or 6 people who knew each other sat at the table and bullied the other 1 or 2 people off pots, and eventually they're stacked by communicating to each other their hands and betting accordingly. Eventually they'd all get the chips to one of their players and he would take a massive stack lead into the heads up, assuming the other poor sap was still involved. Have you ever played any games where dodgy dealings have been going on or felt that something dodgy was going on? Yes, I have. Do I think it's a big problem? Personally, no. But that could be my naivety, Rob. Collusion, I don't think it could take that form, 5 or 6 people, but in actual fact, you don't need any more than 2 or 3 people. It gets better with 2 or 3 people, but of course you then have fewer people to take money off. I mean, the fewer people there are at the table that aren't involved in your collusion, you have fewer people to take money off, and if you're all paying 10% to the site, you've got a big overhead there to make back. So you've got to be colluding effectively, whether it's live or online, and you've got to know a lot about the game in order to make that pay off. I've been involved in live games where, in parochial casinos in this country, where people who are basically friends in self-deal tables, or even tables dealt by dealers, openly collude, talk to each other in a language other than English constantly, and effectively are cheating. Effectively won't bet into their mate, want their mate to preserve in the game. And you know, what options do you have open to you? If it's a casino in the provinces, what are you going to do? Are you going to basically make yourself a pariah in the one casino that's near to your house? I think personally, play online and save your live play for your times in Vegas or London, where you can, be sure of a good game, or be more sure of a good game, certainly. I think in Vegas you can be very sure of a good game. Do people collude in the Mirage? Yeah. More so in the Bellagio. No, I probably can't say that, to be honest with you. But let's say more so in the more professional the casino, the more pros there are. It's a fact of life. No one's going to sit here and say, oh yeah, poker's devoid of cheating, because everything in the world has cheating. Doesn't mean that you can't be an honest player and make a profit. No.
I'd love to go to Vegas and play in some live games.
You can. I know, because we've given that opportunity to someone who won a competition.
Yeah, forgot. Maybe they'll pull out at the last minute and ask if I can take their place. Well, here we go. Here's the chip lead on this particular table. Look at that. It's M11, is that? I can't quite see that. M1. 129,000.
It's a lot of cake, isn't it?
I do like cake. I eat it regularly.
You wouldn't have thought that was such a good figure, would you?
Well, you've got to work it off.
How do you work it off?
Yeah, I say eat what you want, but then work it off and eat the good stuff as well. I think
Doesn't
it's
trip
bad
off
for
the
you in
tongue, though,
small
does it?
amounts. It's not. Yeah, it's not the best thing that I've ever come up with, but it's all right. I'm still trying to work out catchphrase for myself.
6 months in.
Just hasn't happened yet.
I don't think anyone will beat look at that. I mean, it's just so universally applicable. I mean, I can use it in so many different situations. It's
Would you
flexible.
like a certificate?
Sorry?
Would you like a certificate?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
I'll do you one.
Can you?
Yeah, I'll print it out on the computer.
Oh, that's very decent of you.
What do you want it to say? Best saying in the world by Caspar Berry?
No, best saying in the world, not best saying in the world by Caspar Berry, because I'm obviously going to hold that title, aren't I? Winner, Caspar Berry. Best saying in the world.
Would you like a rosette to go with it?
Sevens have called in early position, and the tens have raised, and the sevens can put this down with as much certainty as you like. Well done, Scary. Scary 74 puts it down with as much certainty as you like. Ace Queen in early position, 2 times the raise. Ace Jack decides to call. What was Dave saying about early position? Saying something, wasn't he?
Oh, there was so much to take in.
There was, actually. It's one of the best hours of P&L, I think, ever. If you're tuning in because you've been to the pub and you've missed it, you've missed Dave the Devilfish giving some of the best poker advice ever given.
Well, you can catch us again tomorrow, though.
Catch us again tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon. Call here from Scary with the Ace Jack. We can see that Zulu is dominated and probably would have folded to a raise. But, now Scary takes the opportunity to go in. He's got the ace. He doesn't need to hang around there. Oh, there's one of those 10 jacks we were talking about earlier. Let's see how Zulu plays it. He's on the small blind. Oh, he's going to have to put it down now because Milan Kuma went all in. He doesn't want to put his whole tournament life on a 10 jack, which is fair enough. Not much here. About the best hand there is the 2-3 suited. And that's saying something.
I can't envision any occasion ever when the best hand could be 2-3 suited.
In that case, that's the hand I would have picked. It was the only suited cards, it was connected. Was I wrong? What, would you rather a 5-7?
Yeah. But
Really? Wouldn't you rather go for suited cards than a 5-4?
No.
5-2?
Categorically not.
No.
Well, which is going to win heads up? 2-3 or 5-7? Which is the favourite heads up?
It's 5-7.
Yeah.
But you weren't heads up there. There was 5 different hands.
Still, a 3 high flush is so awful. It's going to make a flush one in 20.
Yeah, but looking at the other cards that you've got,
It's going to make a flush 1 in 20 times, and it's only 3
right,
high.
I'm wrong. I admit to being wrong. 2-3 wasn't the best hand there.
We've got
That's
a text.
what you're here for, though, Caspar.
It is, very much so, to sit in a slovenly way and to just mouth off. It was great to hear one of the world's best players give his views live on TV, says SG145. It really was. Great show, made ever so slightly better. Thanks, mate. Hi, guys. Now, Michelle, you said that it has helped you when you've played Beat the Presenter because you can see your play in retrospect on the telly. Something I do in hands when I've lost, when I should have seen something, is to use the website hand history and replay the hands and analyse my play. That way, as I analyse my play that way and take it on board. I think it is a poker tool that's not used enough and forgotten about until someone wants to replay a monster hand or monster pot until they've won. Very good point there from Scott. What do you think? Have you used the replay tool?
There's so many hands that you play. How do you choose which hands you're going to go over?
I don't think you have a quota. You can go over as many as you want. It all depends how much time you've got. And tenacity and application. Which hands would you go over? The ones where you won?
No, the ones where I lost, so I can see where I went wrong.
Talk a bit more about that. Why do you like playing the Beat Presenter? What have you learnt from watching it all and having us analyse your play?
Well, exactly that.
What's that?
Well, to play on Beat the Presenter, I never quite realised how much I would take into account what I was watching. Before, when you don't see what everyone's cards are, just that on its own, even without an expert sitting here saying, oh, that, you shouldn't have done that, you should have done that. Just being able to see what cards I'm up against, because you never know, you can't put it into context. But because you're looking at the cards, you can say, well, I thought that, and there it is, I was right, so why am I second guessing myself? And other times you can see what bets mean what, and I just think it's a wonderful way to, for me, who's been playing for 7-8 months now, I think it's a wonderful way to improve. And I think I already have improved from watching the 3 games I've already played.
Good, excellent.
I'm not used to being asked questions, you see. It's all difficult for me being on the left.
That's right.
You're right.
Stan Colbert in Belfast says, could you please explain the blinds in detail, Michelle?
You want me to do this? Okay, blinds. Well, basically, blinds are there to accumulate money in the pot and to make play happen. If you sat in a tournament and there wasn't any blinds, everyone would wait till they had the nuts or the best hands, the highest cards, and it would get quite boring. So you'd always have a dealer button. The person to the left of your dealer button will have a small blind. The person to the left of him will have a big blind, which is usually double. So say it's 10-20 game, small blind would be 10, big blind would be 20, and all the other players in the game have to match that 20 to stay in the pot. And now they don't have to play, they can fold if they wish. And the big blind is last to speak before the flop, so he does get the opportunity to raise when it comes round to him. And it really is there to make play happen and to accumulate money in the pot. Especially in a tournament as well, when the blinds go up, they keep the game to a time limit as well.
Yes, good. If there weren't blinds, it'd be like going down to your bookies and saying, I'll have a tenner on Man United to win today, and the bookie saying, that's great, excellent, I'll take your money. And if Man United win, you win nothing. There has to be money in the pot. That's your return, okay? And blinds are usually a small blind and a big blind, although in pot limit, you tend sometimes play to have the 2 blinds exactly the same size. The other thing that players sometimes do in pot limit is to have a blind on the button. In other words, the blinds are the button and the person to the left of the button. Those are the 2 blinds, which means that on the button, a lot of hands are playable. You can call a lot of raises because you've already put the money in, so you may only be calling two extra bets, 2 times what you've put in already, so you're getting really good odds on the button and position. Fantastic situation. Okay, we've got an email here from Wayne, who says, hi folks, I regularly play at low limits in tables, and usually do pretty well. However, lately I seem to have got an incredible run of bad luck. 11 out of 15 hands where I've been all in when the cards are turned over before the river, the others I've been behind. So 11 out of 15 hands he's been all in, and I've lost all of them. So I assume 11 out of 15 he's been ahead, and the others he's been behind. At what point do I admit I'm doing something fundamentally wrong and quit the game altogether, or accept it's my turn for this kind of thing, dig deep and carry on? Well, unfortunately, Wayne, I don't understand the email because there's a slight confusion in the phrasing. The key thing is, when the money goes into the pot, right, so when you either call or bet, do you have the best hand or the worst hand? Now, it's slightly complicated because it's acceptable sometimes to bet with the worst hand if you think there's a good chance the other person will fold. But certainly if you're calling, do you have the best hand or the worst hand? It's this simple. If you're calling with the worst hand, then you need to accept there's something fundamentally wrong and not quit the game altogether, but do what you do in anything in life, which is pick yourself up, dust yourself down and start to learn how not to do it, just like Dave was talking about doing with poker over the last 28 years, constantly learning. If you're putting your money in with the best hand, and they're outdrawing you by the river, that's got nothing to do with doing something fundamentally wrong. That is accepting that it's your turn for this kind of thing, digging deep and carrying on. If you're calling with the best hand, then you're playing poker correctly, and you know the poker gods have just got it in for you right now. There's nothing you can do about that. It's not fun. Dave the Devilfish said when he was here, he's seen players go on a lucky run for 2 years. 2 years they've beat the odds, and people have known that they're not a great player, but it's worked for them. So there's nothing that you can do about that. So that problem, hopefully, when you see that has two completely different elements to it. Are you best or worst when you put your money in? And sometimes are you putting your money in on bluffs that are never going to work? So you need to ask yourself that as well. That was certainly a phase that I went through as a poker player, just trying to be too darn clever. So anyway, folks, we're going to go to a little break, but Michelle's going to interview our editor of Bluff magazine again, which is fantastic. And we are going to join you in about 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Right, and we do have Michael Cosello back on the phones. Hello, Michael.
Hello, how are you?
Not too bad. We've been speaking to you all night about your magazine, Bluff Europe.
I know, I'm not sleeping at all.
Oh, you're not sleeping yet?
No, I'm not sleeping, I'm just talking.
Well, in our last segment, we did speak a little bit about this huge poker game that's going to be happening in America. Now, it's been put together by Andy Beale, who's an American billionaire, and it's going to have 15 of the most experienced poker pros that there is. Now, we did touch on that a little bit in our last segment, but I want to ask you about the specifics of the game and how it's going to work. So what is it they're going to be playing to start with?
Absolutely. It's Texas. It's Limit Texas Hold'em, 100, 200,000. Beal, the game actually took place in February. Beal lands in Vegas. He's set up at the Wynn where they're playing the game. He arrives. They send the Bentley over, the specific Wynn Bentley, but being an eccentric billionaire, he decides to blow it off and take a taxi. He drives into town. He walks up to the cage, and he gets a rack of brown chips. Now, brown chips at the Wynn are $25,000 a chip.
$25,000 a chip?
$25,000 a chip.
Wow.
They put a velvet rope all around the table where he's playing heads up against Todd Brunson. Now, Todd Brunson is regarded amongst poker players, the pros, as one of the best players in the world. Heads up, limit, no limit. He is just a really, really top guy, and I think he's probably overshadowed a bit by his father, Doyle Brunson.
Well, we've all heard of him as well, yeah.
Absolutely. But people regard Todd as one of the sharpest guys on the circuit. So they sit down to play the very first hand. The flop comes 7-7-7. Todd gets aggressive. Andy folds. That's $100,000 up for the corporation. One hand.
Wow.
Now, one hand is the minimum in this game that you could win. That's the minimum.
Really?
So they keep playing a little bit. Yeah,
I think that gives everybody an idea of the stakes in this game.
Absolutely. That happened around 2 o'clock. Now, between 2 and 3, everyone was playing very aggressively. Well, both players were playing aggressively, trying to feel each other out. 3 o'clock comes around. Andy starts to settle in. Now, Andy Beale is trying to create an environment for himself where he could actually beat the pros. So that's why the stakes are so high. He wants to take the pros out of their comfort zone by playing at stakes they can't afford to lose.
Definitely.
But that's why the pros get together and put all their money into a pool. So Beale's there. He's got giant sunglasses. He's wearing earplugs and headphones with elevator music. He's got his routines down, so he has absolutely no tells because he knows the pros will normally get to tear him apart unless he plays like a robot. So he's sitting there. He's playing. Gets more aggressive around 3 o'clock, and during the entirety of the tournament, they run, against Todd versus Andy on that day, they play about 300 hands. But somewhere in the middle of it, Andy takes the lead, chipping away. But then 2 consecutive pots show up at around 4:25 in the afternoon, totaling a $1.6 million swing. On the first hand, it was $900,000. On the second hand, he takes another $700,000 after he flops trip fives.
Nice.
Now this is heads-up play, so smaller hands actually make a difference. You don't need to flop a flush to win in heads-up.
No, well, trips is huge heads-up.
Yeah, trip fives is fantastic. So these hands that are huge in heads-up are taking down massive numbers. Let's see, they play for a little longer. At around 5 o'clock, things start to slow down again. Both players are clearly showing the fatigue of chipping away at each other, playing this really tight but aggressive heads-up style. But about 19 hands after that 5:25 p.m. mark, as if on cue, according to Michael Craig, the flop comes 6, 10 hearts, 10 spades. 9 of spades on the turn, and Brunson and Beal go head-to-head.
Wow.
8 of spades hits the river. Now, right now, Craig's thinking, who's got a bad beat? Somebody's going to get crushed here. Todd bets, Andy calls. Todd turns over 4 spades, 7 spades for a straight flush, winning $1.2 million.
$1.2 million on one hand.
On one hand.
Oh well,
Now,
look, Michael, we're gonna have to stop it there, I'm afraid. But I'm
no,
intrigued
there's
to
so
hear
much
more. But so we're going to find out what else happened here. We're going to have to get the magazine. That's Bluff Europe. Do watch out for the April edition. And all I can say is thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Michael.
No problem.
And we'll be reading what happened next in the magazine.
Fantastic. Yeah, it'll be in Bluff Europe starting in April.
Okay, well, take care, Michael.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. Good morning, even. Caspar and I have switched. We're back where we belong. I'm looking pasty. You have the good light. You're answering the questions. And I'm asking them. We're going to go, we're not going to do anything. We're going to go straight to my tournament that I did. Now, if you do have any questions on this, or anything you've seen tonight, or any comments about the Devilfish, do remember you can get in touch with us. The text number is 62211. The email is poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And do remember you can have your say on 0906 200 7080. Well, we're going to head straight over to my $2 sit and go tournament. How did I do? Let's see. There I am in seat number 1, which I always try and get. So I know where I am. We've got Clay, Dead Spiders, Wizard, Lockryan, sorry, Sausages,
Third time lucky.
Senor Whippy, and Tom and Jerry. Now, strangely enough, in the last game I played, I was up against Tom and Jerry and Sausages as well, and I played really badly. I think I played better today. We'll see how that reflects on my position. Did I make the money? We'll have to wait and see. Very quick, these tournaments. So quick. Decisions are made very quickly as well.
Speeding bullet.
They are. So pair of 8s for Tom and Jerry. Got an ace king out there as well. Pair of 3s. It's limped in, as is the 8s. I think I was chatting at that point.
No.
It was like, not really considering playing a 3-6. But I think I actually ran out of time. And then I think I pressed the I'm away button by mistake and sat out for about 3 hands.
Are you joking?
Sorry, guys. You must have been waiting for me there.
Yeah,
I
they would
did,
have
because
been. They would have been.
I was talking to you and I come back to it and it suddenly said press the I'm back button. So I must have pressed it by mistake.
I thought you could multitask. I mean, we
I
had a
did.
great big conversation about this.
Yeah, I accidentally pressed the wrong button. That's all. So 4 times the big blind raise for the Dead Spider. Are you going to pay any more with a pair of 8s?
It's a good question, actually. Depends what Sausages does for a start off, but hang on a second. It's a very good question. It's a judgment call, that one. It's not automatic either way for me. He raised it to 80, didn't he? I think I will call because of the size of the stack.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got 60 to put in, so I'm getting roughly 1.8 to 1, something like that. Yeah, that's why I'll call.
The implied odds.
No, that is part of the size of the stack, but it's still quite cheap for me in the context of the tournament. But I don't like it, I've got to be honest with you. I don't like it, and, you know, there are a lot of compelling reasons why I'll fold. Look at that, bullets twice.
And so that's why I didn't get dealt cards that time. It didn't even deal me cards. And we did it to fold.
Because
you're
away.
Because I pressed the away button.
Yeah.
Ah.
Bullets twice. Look at
Lucky
that.
man.
Look at that. How many times have you had bullets twice consecutively? Me?
Never.
Twice.
Don't think I've ever had them twice. Lucky man. Does he get paid though? No. Shame.
He's had bullets twice, and he really haven't made him very much at all on either occasion. And Jacks now. The site must be favouring him or something, because it's on some sort of
That's how it happens,
loopy
though, isn't
loo
it?
reading, fish on cycles, or no, it's just random.
Now the ace king is out again. Standard raise. What would you do? I probably would re-raise here with jacks,
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely.
I'm really worried with things like jacks and tens. I really try and take it early on, because genuinely on a flop you're going to get scared, aren't you?
Yeah, that's not the reason why for me. And now I'd fold them. As heartbreaking as it is. Loses more with his jacks than he made in 2 hands of aces. But ace king is the only one of the 4 hands that he can have to do that with that I don't hate. And those 4 hands are obviously ace king, aces, kings and queens.
I've got the jack queen. I think I'm thinking about a raise here if it's not raised to me. Oh yeah, I think I just...
Why is that then?
Well, you know, it's suited, it's jack queen, I'm on the small blind, I'm thinking, I haven't really done anything yet. Knowing what people actually do tend to respect a raise by me on these tables, I think I can take the big blind down there.
Yeah, but it's only 20, Michelle.
It was only 20, so it was a lot to put in, wasn't it, for 20?
No, it's not that. It's just... I don't think there's any point in winning the blinds at this stage in the tournament, and certainly not to get yourself into a situation where you could have a re-raise against you, or lose a lot of money on the flop.
So would you limp there instead?
Yeah, that's one of the few times when I don't mind limping from the small blind, and regular viewers will know that I do generally hate the small blind.
Well, yeah, I generally try to either raise or fold on the small blind.
Sorry?
I tend to either raise or fold on the small blind.
Just in the early stages of a tournament, with a nice drawing hand like Jack Queen suited, that's when I would be calling from a small blind. But
Okay.
like a lot of things, these things are contingent upon the situation.
Not much here. This is $2 sit and go. 8 of it involved. So $16 up for grabs. $8 for first. And then I assume 4 and... No, 16, so it'll be 8, and then it'll be 30%, which is 4. No.
Probably pay people to do the maths off there, I would.
Hang on, 8 left. Well, I would assume it would be 5 and 3. Do you know what it is?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What the prize for first, second, and third? First prize is going to be 50%, which is $8.
Mm-hmm.
Second prize would it be 5 and 3? Does it work like that? 8, 5, and 3?
Sounds good.
It must be around that, mustn't it?
What is it? It's a prize pool of 16, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so 10% of 16 is 1.6. Yeah? So 20% is 3.2. 30% is 4.8.
Oh, so they don't just round it up then, they do it definitely 50, then 30, then 20 every time.
Don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, his 5 is actually ahead at the moment, so...
Yeah, I think that's quite a nice bet, actually, from Loch Ryan. I mean, no one seems to want this. May as well take it down. Having got yourself in that situation, which I wouldn't recommend. Aces again for sausages. Acey racy.
Look at that. Is he trying to steal with his 6 and his 8?
He really is. And sausages can now make a nice big bet, which he does. It's a good bet. Dead spiders will fold. Loch Ryan will call.
Oh, could get into trouble here now with the
Yeah,
king.
I think Loch Ryan is out of this tournament now, I'm afraid. This will be a hell of a lay down. If he lays down this, he will go right up on my estimation. That's a fantastic lay down, I think. Almost too good.
Very good.
Because that is what we've always said, which is top pair is not a good enough hand to call that with. Top pair without top kicker is not a good enough hand to call an all-in bet with.
No.
So that is a hell of a lay down there from Loch Ryan. Do you think he is a loch, or do you think he's just a large body of water that's accumulated the...
Could be. There's a Loch Marie.
There's a lot of what?
Loch Marie. My sister's name. It's a Loch.
She's called Loch Marie?
No, her name's Marie, but there is a Loch Marie.
I was going to say, we should get them together if she was. That'd be too freaky. Loch Marie? Loch Ryan.
Oh, no action for poor Tom and Derek Jerry with the ace king there.
Do you think Tom and Jerry's a cartoon character, like my ex-girlfriend?
Is your ex-girlfriend a cartoon character, as I'm handed the jacks?
No, this is the beginning of your run, isn't it? Of your rush.
My rush?
Of your dash for glory.
Well, I did try.
Hasn't gripped the nation this yet, has it?
Nope.
Not like an EastEnders hot week.
A raise from Seniority.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Good. Good.
Oh, look at me trying to work out the slider. What? It's 200. Do you know what? That's that time I said to you the slider got stuck.
What did Dave say about re-raising? 3 times the previous raise.
That was what I was trying to do, but my slider got stuck, and then I hit the jack. This is what I was talking about to you earlier.
Oldest excuse in the world.
Well, notice how I got confused thinking they were
slider
spades.
got stuck.
No, because remember I turned around to you and tutted, because my slider, I thought it had gone up. My slider went much up higher than 200 anyway. But anyway, I hit it and I thought, 2 hearts, this is what we were talking about earlier. And I felt I wanted to slow play it, but at the same time I was thinking, oh, 2 hearts, I've got to bet.
You know, we've talked about that before. That wasn't a big enough bet. Remember, we've talked about that. You've either got, if you're going to bet that bet significantly, or check it. But this little bet does neither, does it?
Well, I think I was in 2 minds as to whether I wanted to get a call or not, or win it there, or go on to another card.
Well, then don't be in 2 minds before you do something in poker. That's the lesson that I'm taking from this.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's the aces again.
Don't change the subject.
Do you know what, right?
Are we going to be in 2 minds the next time we do something
You can't
in
help
poker?
it though sometimes.
Oh, that's fine. No, don't worry about it then.
I know that you should do it.
I'm sure that's how Devilfish became great.
I know that you have to do it, but when you're making a decision quickly, sometimes you're like, oh, you do stupid things. It's much.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. But the whole point.
Look what I do with the queens. And I don't know. I'm raising into ace king, but you know, I raise it.
Again, it's a minimum raise. What did he say? 3 times.
I know.
So it's slider problems, is it?
Slider problems.
So between slider problems and
I tell you what, I
being
thought
in 2 minds.
Like being completely honest here, I swear to you that I remember that exactly, and I was positive I'd raised it 3 times his raise. I was absolutely positive, and then I just saw that there, so that's really odd. And then here I went to go all in because I thought, oh whatever, I'm just going to go all in and try and scare him off, and then I didn't. So I think I'm just getting a bit, you know, funny here with the old slider.
Being funny?
Don't you remember I said to you, I was supposed to go all in there, and I didn't, so I thought, oh, I'll just have to do it now. Don't you remember I said to you?
Yes, I remember that very clearly.
And I know it's not an excuse, but it's the truth.
I was motioning push, push.
I tried to. And for some stupid reason, I think my mouse
What he does here, Sausages, I love you, mate. You're a great guy in the chat box. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible call, and I think you know that. But Michelle raised your raise. You raised her back. She re-raised you. She's basically saying she's got a great hand. You've got nothing there, Sausages. You've got no call. Sorry, buddy. Sorry to be brutal, but you have nothing. You have a queen, and that is it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, without seeing Michelle's hand, she's got aces, kings, or queens. That's it. That's the only hand that she can have, and 2 of those you can't even win by hitting one of your hands.
It's really odd because you know what you said about having a strategy before you started playing. Now, before I started playing in this tournament, I sat down and thought, right, I'm going to be aggressive, and my minimum raise will be 4 times. That's what I said before I sat down in this tournament. And twice now I've got that wrong, and when I thought I'd got it right, and I think it's, you know, it's really odd. But I did have that strategy in my head before I started. I'm going to be aggressive, and my minimum raise would be 3 or 4 times the big blind. Today I'll make it 4 times. And then twice I had slider problems. Maybe it's the blonde in me coming through. Or the fact that we don't have a mouse mat. And I'm doing it on glass.
Do you know what it means to take responsibility? It's a prerequisite of leadership.
Well, look, Clay's got the Kings, the Cowboys.
Either that or because we don't have a mouse mat.
To be fair, a mouse on glass is very odd anyway. It's very difficult. Sometimes it doesn't catch it. So when I'm trying to slide up, it's not happening. My time's running out. Do you know what? I'm only telling the truth as well, and you're just being mean. Because I said it to you. Both times I said to you, stupid, I couldn't get the slider to go up because of the mouse. Twice I said that to you, and now you're trying to make out that I'm just stupid.
I'm not making you stupid. Look at that. Clay's solved his mouse problems. Where are you there? 76?
You know, I'm quite low.
Well, you've had good cards.
I had a run of good cards, yep. Look, 100%.
That statistic is best described as a measure of luck.
No, not if you played them well and then won them.
Nope.
Fine, take away the glory.
I'm not taking away any glory. You're covered in the stuff. Oh, they'll all want to kill me now, won't they, all the viewers? Being mean to Michelle. You
Yeah,
don't
they do
hear.
stick up for me.
Seriously, they don't hear what you say to me in the breaks.
Oh, see, that's such a lie. In the break, I actually have a go at you for being mean to me on air. And you laugh.
I do.
in my face.
I'll tell you what, you know, I sat with this computer long period of time. You know how you've got that computer?
Mm-hmm.
I've got this computer, sat with it a long period of time. Never had a problem with a mouse.
That's because you're doing it on your bit of paper and I was doing it on the glass.
Yeah.
Watch it sticking as you're doing that. Can I just say, it just stuck there.
A very sensitive mouse, it really is. Particularly sensitive. Let's see if I can just highlight a letter there in the email. Yeah,
You're really going to punch you in a minute. Let's just see how I do, shall we?
Look, I've actually highlighted the letter I.
This is supposed to be constructive criticism you're giving me, Cass.
That is true. So with much fours, Loch Ryan has raised with his suited king. I quite like that. Taking the aggressive stance. He folded to 6-7. There we go, good stuff. But look at you with your 2,500 chipolatas.
I am chip leader at the moment.
You are. Sausages.
So even
There's
though
nowhere.
my raiding hasn't gone quite to plan, it still worked for me.
Raiding?
Raising.
Why isn't it gone as planned?
I was supposed to
of
do minimum 3 times when the mouse got stuck. But it's worked for me. So far, so good. But I have had good cards.
Chip nurse.
And that whole, you know, the jack situation with a set, 2 suited cards on the flop, I really wanted to kind of do the whole slow play check race thing. I was so scared of the flush. And you're right, when you're up against one person, the likelihood is they haven't got the flush. And if you do run into somebody that then has the flush, that's just unlucky.
Well, they definitely haven't got the flush with 2 flush cards on board.
Well, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
See, look, raised 240.
Good.
Mouse is starting
Mouse
to work for me.
solved there. Problem solved, phone soon.
Jack 3. Oh.
Mouse problem, stupid, just stupid.
Look, you can't tell. When I text you private stuff when I'm annoyed with poker, you can't tell the nation.
We're talking about cross purposes there. I was taking the mickey out of the premium search insurance adverts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were taking the mick out of my.
Don't say it.
You already have this evening. You told everyone I sent you an email saying poker was stupid.
Oh, that, yeah.
Of course I didn't mean, I was just annoyed. I find that texting the poker professionals helps me out. I have a rant, and I go back on and play, and it all works out fine. Rag ace raises into a better ace. Not good, unfortunately. But he isn't to know. I suppose he had to make a move at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that was the time.
No.
No, you know, obviously it wasn't, obviously, because we knew it had ace-queen, but look at you missing out on the big blind there. It's handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think ace-7 from the big blind with one raises you as the time to come over the top, because I know what he would say. He will say, look, if it's a bluff, he'll put it down. He can't call. Fine, that's true. But do players really do that and at this speed sit and go? I don't think they do. I think they call you, don't they? They call you with 7-6 in that situation.
Yeah.
Because they go, you know, fast tournament, as the Devilfish says, any 2 cards can win.
That's true.
So
we've lost 2 players. I'm currently chip leader.
I'm not saying that raising a razor is a bad bluff per se. I'm saying when the blinds are this big in relation to the head, there were 2 short stacks there, or he had a short stack. And anyway, look, it's easy to say. Catch me on a different day. Probably say it's genius.
I went for a little steal with the king 6.
Didn't you
I
just?
got the feel, and it worked. And I would. It's a weird one, trying to pick a hand to do that with, but because I haven't done it yet, I figured it was a good, and everyone had folded to me. It was a situation I thought, okay, I can go for a steal here. King 6 suited. It's not a good hand, but if I do get just called, I do have outs. If I get raised, I can put it down. You know, the only question there would be, if I get called, the flop comes and they check to me, do I then try and take the pot down by making a bet? Queens and 6s. Minimum raise. You see a lot of that on these tables, though, I think, in the games. People are just doing the minimum raise.
Yeah, and I think it's for this very specific reason, which is that people have so little in their stack in relation to the blinds. Excuse me.
It's all right.
They want to raise, but they don't want to commit so much of their stack that if someone comes over the top of them, they've lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so they make a minimum raise, which has all the benefits of saying, I raise, without all the downside of saying, I've now put a third of my stack in with this.
Yeah.
Mind you, Senior Whippy, lovely situation there, look at that. Has the second pair, plus the bigger flush draw.
Oh, actually, there was a hand I remember. I couldn't quite work out how I had lost it, so I'm waiting for that to come up. I'm interested to see what happened.
Okay.
Ace Queen there for Clay. Fold it. Don't need to get involved. At this point, I'm saying to myself, you're chip leader now. You can sit through the blinds. People are going to start knocking themselves out. Don't get involved.
Oh, but are they? Are they?
Well, I think they generally do on
Yeah, you're right.
on these. Seems to all happen very quickly.
So
I'm so
blur.
used to, I'm so used to having time to go, it's just it's accustoming yourself to what you're used to. And the TV one, maybe it's because they're on the TV, everyone thinks they have to make a decision straight away and they can't think about it, otherwise it looks bad. But like you've said, you should use all the time you've got.
You should use as much time as you need, certainly, in order to make the best possible decision. That's what a lot of people don't do. I mean, I'm absolutely flabbergasted sometimes by the speed at which people make decisions, just like completely bowled over. If they were making decisions, like Phil Ivy's, then that'd be brilliant. But they don't.
Oh, Wizard thinking about calling Dead Spider's little steal here. He does.
And Spiders outflops him.
I just put it down really, had a gut shot, but not really enough to warrant calling. Just give him the middle pair. 5 of us left. Raise with the ace-4.
See, the interesting thing, Michelle, is that at the moment, the blinds with 8160, people aren't knocking each other out. In fact, it's raise and take it at the moment. And that's why I'd say right now, before the blinds go up one more level, you could be a little bit more aggressive. I'm not saying you necessarily had any situations that I'm going, oh God, I would certainly have raised it there. What I'm saying is, it's not quite got to that stage yet where
It's dire straight.
yeah, where one person raises with tens and the other guy has to call with king 10.
But are you completely bluffing? Are you doing that with anything?
You may as well, because you don't really want to be out-kicked, so you may as well have 2 live cards. You're the one that can do it, because you've got the stack to do it and not be hurt if it goes wrong. I would probably be putting in 400.
Yeah, but you do that once and get re-raised or called.
Then it's failed, and you put it down. But the point is, I actually think that in this situation, all the conditions are right for it to work often enough to be profitable. The conditions being, they respect you, they're folding to each other, they're not even in the bubble, but they're playing as if it's a bubble situation. All of those things act to your advantage. You're right, in whatever it is, 4 hands time when the blinds go up, that's not going to be the case. And a couple of those players are just going to have to call each other because a third of their stack is going to be in the blind.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, I didn't think that actually with the ace-6. I remember having that ace-6 and thinking, oh, should I go for a steal now? And thinking, why get involved? You're chip leader, you don't need to right now. But in hindsight, maybe, you know, looking at them cards, if I had a raise, I would have taken it down. I'm trying to remember what I did here. I think he was trying to steal. I think I raised him, or did I? I can't remember. No, I just called. Hit a king, and thought, yay, I've hit a king. Let's see if he's got a better king. I'm not sure how much I put in.
We'll see in a minute.
320.
There we are. Quite low in relation to the pot.
Do you know what? I also remember thinking, as soon as I did it, I thought, I've done the blind thing again. This is exactly what I spoke about last time. Bet the pot. Look at the pot. Don't think of it as in blinds. So I'm just in the lead still. 4 of us left. Blinds have gone up. Is the 8-9 enough for Clay to raise? Big raise. But he knows he's only risking 440 though, doesn't he? It's cool. You know when you're thinking, push him off. And you think, no, and they double through.
Yes, I know that feeling.
Another big raise with ace jack.
You know, when you say the word Clay,
Yeah.
do you think of Muhammad Ali, Tommy Lee Jones in JFK, or like a big lump of molten,
That one.
of soggy silt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're going to put in the kiln.
I think of Tommy Lee Jones in JFK.
I called him here, but I had to think of this for a minute because I thought, as the big stack, or nearly, well, not then, but I kind of, it was only going to cost me 300 more to call him. But was that the right decision there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, this was one I couldn't work out why I didn't win. Jack 5, missed it, damn it.
It was a split pot, I think you 2 pair on board.
Oh,
with
we
a
both had
kicker.
jacks, so a split pot, yeah, got it. Thank you. You know when you miss it, you think, why don't I win that? I had the 6, he had the 5. So split.
Poor old Hugh, out on the bubble. Never pleasant.
No. Ace 3, now this is the one I said, mate, I should have pushed with this.
Yes.
Now ace 3, I should have pushed there. I always do this heads up. I put hands down, I shouldn't.
You're not heads up.
Not heads up, but the very last stages when there's 3
Short-handed.
left. Short-handed, that's what I'm looking for, thank you. I always do that, and I always look back 300 and think, why didn't I push with, like, I had an ace, so what is
Now,
the
hang on
way?
a second, let's just have a look at this hand. So he raises it.
I didn't have any choice, did I? I had to call, really.
Yep.
Even though I had a rubbish hand, I
Yeah,
thought I've got
it's only
it.
160. Yeah, you're getting like 7 to 1, 6 to 1 from the pot. 6 will do it. No.
Didn't come, so he doubled through.
Silly wizard.
Wizard, wizard, wizard. What are you doing? Doubling through. I through. Now, did I raise? Oh, yes, I raised. And got a call. I thought, he's got a 5. I'm trying to know what I did. But you see, just by doing that raise, it's always taken my stack way down. And now I'm thinking, I'm looking at 1860, thinking, So I have to put in a stupid little bet. It didn't work. He's got the 5. He re-raised me, and I thought, damn it, and I had to put it down. And now I'm down to 1,540, and all of a sudden, I'm not looking so good anymore. I've got Wizard sitting there who's not that much behind me now.
Oh, you're still looking lovely.
Oh, thank you. But now I'm panicking. I'm thinking, hang on a minute. I was chip leader. Now I'm not. Now I've got work to do, and I've got to wait for the hand. And Clay kept raising up, and I'm thinking, come on, go in together. Again, Big Brian's taken off me. Clay goes all in. I'm not prepared to do it with Queen 4. I'm hoping Wizard calls. He doesn't. Big Brian with Queen 6. Again, Wizard's in.
Oh,
Gets the flush.
silly wizard.
Doubles through again, and I've only got 900 left, so I'm now committed, whatever. The next hand I play, I'm all in. So it becomes a little bit like a crapshoot for me because they can afford to call. Well, Wizard can't. Actually, this is I think a mistake. Yeah, see, I'm all in. And maybe I could have waited, thinking that Clay probably would have called Wizard. So that was a mistake there. I should have put that down and let them battle it out. So Clay wins it with 4. And we split because I won $4. So we both got second prize.
Well, you shouldn't have.
It come up, you've won $4.
You should
second
have got
place.
third.
See, it said second. It come up, well done, second place, $4. I'm assuming it must have come up second place, $4 for him as well.
Yeah, you should have got third, though, because you were behind both in hand and in stack. Do you know what I mean? So even though you went all in, you came last. He had the better hand.
So it didn't do that.
Yeah.
It come up, because I showed you, didn't I? I said, look, and it come up, well done, second place, $4, be put into your account, which is...
$4.
25%.
Okay, so they just split it.
So
Yeah.
they've just split it.
That's just that software. If that had been in a live tournament, you'd have come third.
Yeah, so some mistakes there. But I'm pleased I got in the money.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah.
Should we have an email, or should we just sit here?
Should
for
we
a
do
bit?
Stephen's? Well, we have got the multi-table
Oh,
tournament.
we've got multi-table
towards the end
tournament.
of the-
Well,
so
I'm in your hands.
We should pop over there and have a quick look, and then we will do your email, Stephen, as well, because I did say I was about to do that. Here we are, 3 left. Will it be as exciting as my tournament? Well, AM11 and Chipbooks, they're very close. Oh, no, now he's gone way into the lead. Zulu's all in. And he's gone out. So, first place for this multi-table tournament will win $975, 624 for second, and what's his face in the middle there just went out with 429.
So how much are they playing for, Michelle?
It's $10 tourney.
How much are these two playing for?
Well, first place is 975. Second, 624.
So how much
There's
are they
quite a
playing
lot
for?
in there's $300 in difference in there.
That's right. So they're playing for $351.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 2 pair for M11. Bets it on.
I had a key massage today.
Did you?
Supposed to get the energy flowing through my body more effectively.
Did it work?
Do I look perky?
No. You were at the beginning of the night. You've been on like anti-climax since the Devilfish left.
Yeah. I don't want you to take that the wrong way, but you're not one of the greatest poker players this country's ever produced.
Yeah, but you know, I'm funny.
And that...
Have you not heard my sausages joke?
For the love of God.
Or my Whoopi Goldberg joke?
Whoopi Goldberg joke? No, go on.
Have you not heard?
I've not heard you speak about it as if it's the latest big thing.
She's marrying Gerard Depardieu, the French actor. So she's going to be known as Whoopi Doopy Doo. What? It's good. What about my Edward Woodward joke?
Why not text? No, please. Why not text the show? And don't forget to mark your text good.
Look, I have many jokes.
You have 4.
I actually have a joke book that me and my best friend wrote when we were at school. And we've just blatantly ripped off everybody else. Jokes by Michelle and Angela.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I tell you what, if its content is half as imaginative as the title, it's a winner.
Thanks.
Jokes. So what's happening here, Michelle?
Well, we're in a heads-up situation. M11's gone into the lead here.
M11?
Wow,
Or
I'm just
M&M?
calling him that. It's ML101. But I'm just going to call him M11. Where I shall be headed off shortly to.
Right.
He's got a queen and a 2, and he's made quite a bet. And it's worked. King 6 now, a re-raise. Very interesting, very aggressive. It's got the bankroll to do it. Bankroll? I mean stack. And it gets called by chipbooks. M11, he's king. Chipbooks can't call this. No. So chipbooks, he's still got plenty of play for the blinds, 5-10. 12 times big blind. So he's still got some action. He's hit a flush. He doesn't want to see... Oh, no, he's got the nuts. I was going to say another diamond, but he has the queen diamond to M11's 10, so it doesn't matter. He doubles through. He wins the pot even. Interesting to see how they're playing the heads-up play here. Like you say, Caspar, it's not so much the cards here as...
Well, I thought Devilfish's point about heads up was just fascinating.
Okay, say it again.
I thought Devilfish's point about heads up was just fascinating.
Caspar, if you don't mind.
Keep
You're
your...
an idiot.
You heard my sausages joke. Keep your opponent sweet when you're playing heads up. The last thing you want is an aggressive opponent. So do not goad him. Do not show him that you're bluffing. Never, ever show him a bluff heads up. Only ever show him when you've got good hands. You want the guy to think you're lucky and to be scared about betting into you at all. So vary your play, definitely. Play it aggressively, but keep on revealing it in order to create the illusion that the deck is smashing you over the head. Devilfish was very strong on people's perceptions of luck. So work with that. What do you think?
Yep, sounds good to me. I'm not going to question the Devilfish. He knows more than me about the subject.
Did you say subjects or just the subject?
The subject. Poker.
I bet he doesn't know a word in every language.
No. I don't. Well, Chipbooks is creeping up slowly. So, playing £300 here because it's $957 for first and about $650 for second. So still a lot of money to be playing for here. I've been playing all night. And it was originally $10, so they're definitely getting good return.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So what are you thinking of this heads-up play, Caspar?
Good, it's interesting.
Good.
It's just ebbing and flowing at the moment, isn't it? There's very little to say about it.
Do you have any, I mean, obviously we've heard the Devilfish's tips for heads up. You have any tips for heads up play which work for you?
Not that rank alongside that. I'm not sure that I haven't subconsciously been doing the same thing. I just never have broken it down in those terms. I mean, I think you do a number of things. Sorry if I amused you.
No, you were just drawing on your head without realising it with your pen, sorry. Shouldn't laugh.
I think you do a number of things in poker subconsciously without realising it. And I think the reason why I liked it, you always know when you've heard a great piece of tuition or teaching, because it makes conscious that which you knew subconsciously. That's what great teaching does. It brings a structure to that which was structureless, or forces you to accept things that you kind of already knew. And I think that is what you do, because you don't want people to come out of their lair. And by people I mean dragons. People don't really live in lairs, do they? Dragons do, though.
Used to. When they apparently existed.
Are they just not as fashionable now, lairs?
No, I don't think you find very many dragons nowadays.
Got this lovely lair in Battersea.
Your place is probably a lair.
My last place was beautiful.
It was very nice.
Of course, we were asked to leave that by our landlord. So I think that's fantastic. I think you have to play more than 50% of hands and verging on 70%. I think you should call very often from the small blind. I think you should vary your playing exactly the same way that Dave said, in the sense of sometimes you can be calling with everything and sometimes you've been raising with everything and constantly trying to throw your opponent off. And I think you can play aggressively. I mean, you can't, at the end of a sit and go, you can't do these things, but you can play aggressively and then fold to power, because if you get the guy with the old foot in the back of the neck, as we've said here on the show before, excuse me, then you can you can get him into a situation where you know that any power that he shows back again is almost certainly not a bluff. It's all about the psychological momentum of it. I tell you, the best heads-up player that I know is Nick.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Haven't played me yet, have you?
Yes.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
When? When have you played me heads up?
Oh, heads up, no. Played short-handed. I'm not sure why I'm going down this conversation.
I don't know why either. I do have a question here from Stephen. Can I do that now?
Yeah.
While we're watching this. He says, hi, my question is, on the button, it's advised by many, many players to play a lot more hands and maybe raise a higher amount of the time with less good cards, i.e. ace-9 suited. Could you tell me the point of this when there are multiple people in the pot? You aren't going to take the pot there and then when there's 4 to 5 people have limped in, and when the flop comes down, all you can hope for is 2 pair, a lucky set, or a nut flush draw in order that you have a strong hand. As most of the time you might only get a middle pair, or even if you did hit your ace, with that amount of limpers, someone could have hit tricks or even 2 pair. I just don't see that, with losing so many hands from the button, that you are going to make any profit.
You're not, and that piece of advice has been taken out of context. the quotation at the beginning is, on the button it's advised by many, many players to play a lot more hands and maybe raise a higher amount of the time with less good cards, i.e. ace-9 suited. That is advice given if there are one or no players have entered the pot before that. Oh. Exactly as, I mean, Stephen's observation is absolutely correct, so well done, Stephen. If 4 or 5 players have limped in, there is absolutely no way on earth that it's correct to raise with ace-9 suited. No way on earth. In a limit game, you might want to raise with Jack-10 suited. And in both those games, you certainly might want to call with ace-9 suited because of the flush potentiality in a multi-way pot if 4 or 5 players have limped in. But no, we're definitely not raising with ace-9 suited in that situation.
So what would you be raising with?
What, with 4 or 5 limpers?
Mm-hmm.
Aces and kings, frankly.
Well, here we are. Now, exactly, it's changed sides. We've gone M11, who was the chip leader, Chipbox is now the chip leader, so it really, really can change very quickly.
It's fascinating.
It's all very exciting, and heads up. The multi-table tournament that's been happening all evening. I'm hoping we'll get to see the end of it, because we're going to be running out of time soon. Two pair for Chip Brooks. M11 coming along for the ride, but doesn't actually have anything yet. So when's your next big tournament, Caspar?
When's my next big tournament?
Going to play in a big tournament anytime soon?
No. Why?
I was just wondering. It's been friendly, finding out what you're up to.
I'm playing more and more in the Sunday multi-table tournaments. I've got to do the show tomorrow with Dr. Tom.
Have you?
My next big tournament will be the sit and go that I play and beat the presenter. They are big tournaments to me because they're with the most important people, our viewers.
Indeedy-doody. Go on, Chip Brooks and M11, we want to know who wins.
Well, you know, they don't have to. I mean, the blinds are only 5 and 10, so they've got like 30,000. They've got 30 big blinds in their stack. There's no pressure on them at all. They're playing correct poker, given that they're not in any hurry, and they're right not to be. So I'll be surprised if this finishes before the end of our show.
Now M11's taking the lead again, but there's not much in it. Well, I think we are going to have to leave that there, because we're going to have to wrap up the show, Caspar.
Oh.
But do we know who won? We're going to find out, because we've got a couple of minutes, so we'll try and find out. So there you have it. It's been a very exciting night. I come second and beat the presenter, although Caspar should have come third, but it was good. I'm happy with being in the money. A couple of mistakes as well, but I'll take them on board. I hope it helps you guys at home as well. And of course, by the way, M11 won that, so there you go, you know now. So the Devilfish, so very exciting start to the show as well.
It was brilliant, and I would like to see many more professionals come on and share their wisdom with us. Be surprised if we get someone, you know, with his track record.
Oh, you never know. It'd be good, wouldn't it?
It would be absolutely excellent. I mean, you know, I've said many times about Malcolm and Rock Harwood. You know, when someone makes a living from poker for that long a time, you've got to respect them. I mean, Devilfish is always someone who's going to divide opinion. You know, there are going to be people who love him, people who hate him, people who think he's arrogant, people who think he's confident, people who think he's what have you. But you know, you can't take that record away from someone,
No.
I don't think. And for me, that arrogance is born of the confidence that's come from winning at poker year in, year out for many years now. It's great.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it as much as Caspar and I did. It was a great start to the show, and we'll be getting more guests come onto the show as well throughout the month, so do stick with us. But that is all we've got time for tonight. It's Caspar and Dr. Tom tomorrow, so do make sure you tune in. It'll probably be Caspar and beat the presenter, so I'll have to watch as well, see how you do, see if you can beat second. But that's it from Poker Night Live.
Like I did last time.
Yeah. See you tomorrow night, but from Caspar and I hope you enjoyed the show, and good night, good morning.
Take care.